Guys, welcome back to our October series. My favorite month of the year, like I always says, a billion times better than Christmas. I love Halloween. I love October. We've been doing weekly episodes, which thank you guys so much for the support on them, like talking about Korean horror for like 2 hours. I can't believe you guys listened to that. Check out our horror comedies episode. That was a really fun episode to do. And underrated horror gems, which, some people wrote in the comments, they're not as obscure as you want them to be, but we try to be broad and like sort of serviceable to people that maybe not are huge horror fans. So maybe we'll do another list, maybe we'll dive deeper into those. But today I'm joined by a good buddy of mine. He's the second biggest Kelly Reichardt fan I know, right after me. Cole, can you tell me about her new movie, please? I've been dying to ask.
Hi. So before we get into the horror talk, Jake wanted me to talk about this. I saw the new Kelly Reichardt film at the New York Film Festival this year. It's called Showing Up.
Yes.
It is. I feel comfortable. I feel like Kelly Reichardt's movies are secretly funny. That's something that like people don't really give them credit for because they can be so tense at the same time. I think this is her first full-on comedy. It's also, I think, pretty pointedly, and I had this thought, it's the first movie she's made since Old Joy, where like the stakes are never life and death. Where even in something like Certain Women, there's like the threat of the suicide bomber, which is such a weird shift. But this is her like, and I do not mind the tension of most of her movies. The fact that she secretly makes, thrillers in a way, as much as she secretly makes comedies. But this movie is not that. If I were to compare it to anything, it really feels like locked into the gentleness of the like 20 minutes of First Cow, where they don't really have anything going on.
Yes.
But it's a recollaboration with Michelle Williams.
We love to see that. Yeah.
It is set at a now defunct Oregon Arts College that kind of closed down right before the pandemic, but it's set there vaguely, I think probably pre-pandemic. Michelle Williams plays a sculptor who works at this college. It doesn't seem like she teaches. It seems like she does admin stuff, and she's pretty low down on the totem pole. And it's her over the course of the week leading up to her first gallery show, as she just is putting up with 1,000 little indignities, specifically the fact that her neighbor / landlord / best friend / worst enemy, who's played by Hong Chow, who's hilarious in this movie, also has a show a few days before her and is clearly the one that everyone actually cares about. Right. So Williams is just kind of keeping her head down and just quietly trying to make it through the week. And it's just this very sweet and funny and like not sad, but that kind of like world weariness that I think a lot of her movies beat about, but about art and the sort of demands that you have, the indignities that you have to survive to put through art. And I think it might be her weakest movie, but it's Kelly Reichardt. Everything she's made is incredible. And they all grow on you, right? Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, Night Moves specifically, I know you mentioned that one, because that's a detour from like her gentleness and more of her sort of, more character driven movies and very oddly paced compared to other movies. And that's one that's like, I mean, I mentioned on the pod before, she's my favorite current filmmaker of this generation. So
probably, right?
I mean, that's just me, but yeah,
I'm saying like, I mean,
she's objectively the best. Is that what you're saying?
Of people who are still alive, who I would put up there with her, Spike Lee's best days are definitely behind him. Linklater's best days are probably behind him. Iraqi's retired, basically. I think she's pretty clearly, and she's on a hot streak that hasn't been disrupted in 15 years. Like I say, this is her weakest movie, but it's incredible. And it's just so nice to see her live in this quiet, even quiet for her mode of like light character comedy. And it also like I had some conversations with people where they were like, I find these people very irritating. It's a question of what are you supposed to pace? But there's this beautiful rhythm to the movie where it keeps taking these like really captivating detours to just sit in on watching the other students and faculty at this like very hippy dippy arts college just present or perform or create their own art. And there's like one or two shots that implies that these are maybe POV shots of Williams's character like skulking the halls and watching everyone, but it really just feels like disconnected, like Reichardt is drifting away from the main action just to watch these people who are, I didn't really stay for her Q&A. This is the only thing I stayed for. But she did say that because the school was closed down, that she had to like fill it with extras and then kind of basically she had to basically recreate the teaching environment at the school so she could get this footage of them creating. So it's not like she's actually like you're actually seeing documentary footage of, you know, sculpting and painting and installation courses. You're seeing like a weird simulacra recreation of it for the camera that still exists, which is such a weird disconnect. I don't know. I think you're really going to like it, Jake. I think it's coming out next. I'm guessing probably March next year.
That's what I was going to say. Please give me a release date calendar because I can't.
A24 has it.
Yeah.
Because they just produce her movies these days, which is
so like a first cow sort of rollout, like sort of.
I would guess
spring.
They definitely said they're pushing it to 2023. I would just guess probably February or March. I don't understand why. Like no disrespect to this movie. This is not an insult. I don't necessarily think this is going to be an either Oscar or financial bonanza for A24.
No, she doesn't need it though.
She doesn't need it. If anything was going to do that for her, it was going to be First Cow and A24.
What a disgrace. Best picture of 2020. We all know
one of the best pictures of 2020. Okay, here's the thing about that. You're not going to like this, but I'm right. Every year A24 has been successful at the Oscars as a distributor. They pick one movie and they go all in on one movie.
Yeah, it was Minari.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Every year they try to split and like try to run different things. They whiff basically across the board. They picked Minari. I also adore Minari. It's probably the better shot. Like that was a good calculation. Yeah. And I can't be that mad at just the fact that A24 just can't, because you've got a guaranteed Yu Jung supporting actress win versus First Cow still could have missed is what I'm saying. And I think it's, I adore Minari. I adore First Cow. I think Minari needs the Oscars for its legacy more than First Cow does, because First Cow was, I think, First Cow, along with whatever assessment of the Steve McQueen movies you want to give it, I think was the consensus critical pick for that year. I think we both probably agree it's the best movie.
Look, in my mind, and it's hard to live in a world where Kelly doesn't have a Best Director nomination.
She's not slowing down, though. She's
not. That's the thing. She's on the up and up. And First Cow was like, look, people watch A24 for the label, and they're going to throw on First. I had so many people tell me, you got to see this movie First Cow. I'm like, guys, I'm obsessed with Kelly Reichardt. I'm on the ball, but I'm glad she's getting that recognition, at least from a distribution aspect. So
my parents, I was born in Seattle, and, you know, obviously Kelly Reichardt is an Oregon filmmaker, but a lot of her stuff, especially First Cow, is set very North Oregon along the border to Washington. And I remember my parents watched First Cow, and like 10 minutes into it, probably like right after all the Alia Shawkat stuff, my mom texted me and was like, this is the most boring movie I've ever seen in my life. And then when I spoke to them after they finished it, they were just in awe of how much that movie on like a tactile level reminded them of the Pacific Northwest. And they were like just obsessed with this sense, even though it's a movie set 200 years ago, of being back in those forests and living there. And that's the thing, like, as much as they were like, this movie is boring at the start, they got sucked in by the patience of it and the rhythms of it. And I think that's the magic of it, is that it is patience. It is about waiting. And I think this is a very quiet movie because it's about this like slow shamble to the specific deadline. And need I say, Michelle Williams is incredible in it. Hong Chau's hilarious in it.
She's
Judd
wonderful.
Hirsch quietly doing his like wacky parent to Michelle Williams thing, because he also plays her dad in the Fablemans, and he plays her dad in this.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, he could snag an Oscar, and then his victory lap could be this Kelly Reichardt movie coming out in March, which would be wonderful for him.
I feel there is nothing I feel less confident about than Best Supporting Actor this year.
Did you see the Fablemans yet?
I've not seen the Fablemans. No, it comes out because it played TIFF and that's it.
Right.
So that's gonna shuffle on down. I don't know. I'm probably not going to get it here in Colorado until Thanksgiving weekend. So that's probably when I'm going to see it. But I feel pretty confident about. I have my predictions for the Oscars this year. I have no idea who's winning supporting actor.
Now I want to dig deep into that. Can I just ask about director? Like, who's your
Spielberg is winning director.
That's
1,000,000%.
I want to go through nominations though, because Spielberg's got it in the bag. I mean, he's a 3 director Oscar.
Yeah. My point is that, I mean, this is what I said even before anyone saw The Fabelmans, was that Spielberg feels like he should have a 3rd directing Oscar. He's the only living filmmaker who feels like he's in the camp of William Wyler, Frank Capra, and John Ford. And regardless of what you think of Spielberg as a director, like, you can dislike him. Even if you don't like him, you have to acknowledge that he has the reputation that puts him in with that like elite crew. My second point was that it's been 23 years. 24 years since he won his
Private Ryan was 99.
Yeah. West Side Story kind of flopped, like, and it feels like there's a bit of indignity over that it kind of underperformed. So I think that he's going to feel due. And also, it's a movie about loving movies. Like, all the magic is there.
I know it hits all the marks too. Yeah, I mean, he's got it in the bag, and it was interesting though, thinking of the other 4. Like, would you put Todd Field in there? Would you put?
Sorry, who were you gonna ask?
I don't know. I was just speculating. I mean, obviously we have 2 months to go, but like, obviously,
right now, my guess is Spielberg. I think Sarah Polley for Women Talking, which I've seen, and is for like an austere movie that is mostly a group of women having an argument about sexual assaults. Women Talking plays like a crowd pleaser. You will be blown away by how like stand up and cheer and how funny this movie is. I think Polly's probably Spielberg's biggest competition for the win.
Wow.
I think McDonough has it in the bag because I think Banshees is going to win Best Picture.
He's an Academy favorite, really.
Yes.
Having seen the film, I'm inclined to agree, but Fabelmans is like,
it's
such a heavyweight on every technical level.
The heavyweight right now almost always whiffs.
That's a good point.
Nobody dislikes Banshees, and you need 2nd and 3rd place votes to win Best Picture. And also, like I said, nobody dislikes Banshees.
No one.
Because it's really, you've seen it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Oh my God. You can take your grandparents to it. It's like a dark comedy for the whole family. It's so sad and invigorating. But here's my real point as to why I think Banshees going Best Picture. 3 Billboards probably came within a hair of winning Best Picture.
I know. How scary was that?
Half of every person who saw 3 Billboards hated 3 Billboards. And the people who liked 3 Billboards kind of had to concede the ground to them. Like you hated 3 Billboards.
I don't. I'm in the middle.
You're in the middle. I kind of hate it. You can agree that even back in 2017, even the 3 Billboards, the pro 3 Billboards team felt like they had to acknowledge that the antis were in the right in a way.
Yeah. It became like a major award season villain, which was, I love to see that. But
that well as a villain, how's him doing this like universally beloved comedy gonna play? Okay, so director, those are my director picks.
Can I throw in a few?
Well, I was gonna say my last two, Todd Field and Ruben Östlund.
Yeah.
I think Field,
100%.
I think that movie's kind of undeniable. I know some people are like poo-poo. It might be a little too arty, but the director's branch always goes a little arty. And then
and he's been away for 20 years.
Yes, 100%. It's such an obviously directed movie. And then I think Triangle of Sadness is probably in the mix to be like the 10th best picture nominee. But regardless, that even if that misses picture and that movie stinks, Östlund is the kind of guy who's got the Directors Guild is going to go for above the other branches, like a Thomas Vinterberg or a Bennett Miller or a Pavel Pawlikowski.
I forgot Vinterberg snagged that nomination.
I don't think there's going to be a non-English language movie in the mix next year. And I think Triangle of Sadness is going to de facto take that spot because it is, even though it is in English, it's by, a Swedish director and it's like a Swedish-French co-production.
Right. Parasite also set a precedent for if a movie wins the Palme d'Or, for some reason, a lot of people think, it has a shot at Best Picture because people are like, Titan. A few people, they said Julia Ducournau could snag a Best Director nomination just because it was so beloved at Cannes, which is a weird precedent that Parasite set, I think. But it's incorrect. It's incorrect.
Drive My Car kind of stole its thunder at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
A movie that I feel like if the con jury could vote now, I think they probably would have given it to Drive My Car.
100%.
That being said, if we ever, my dream is to get access to the Oscar vote tallies. I would not be surprised
release them,
to find
please.
Out,
yeah.
Oh my God. If that Julia Ducournau was like 7th place for a Best Director nomination last year.
Yeah.
I think, that's my guess. Who are you thinking for director?
No, I tend to agree with you. I was just going to throw out what about Joseph Kosinski?
0%.
Any shot? 0%. I think that's a shot at
the Top Gun Oscar chances are wildly being overstated.
That's fair. I just tend to agree with the crowd pleasing aspect of that movie, and that it's just highly, highly grossing. Not like Titanic level, but it's a movie everyone loves. It's technical feat. Yeah. And Tom Cruise, like the most beloved movie star on the planet. I just don't, but that's more, it's Tom Cruise's moment, not Kaczynski's. So I recognize that. But
any other year, I would agree with you. But if you want to make the case for Top Gun's going to get in because it's this beloved, blockbuster that brought people back to theaters and everyone loves it. Sure, fine. There's a James Cameron movie coming out. My other take is that I think this, and I might be a bit of a stick in the mud about the Top Gun Best Picture thing. I don't think it has 0 shot, but I think we're looking at a Best Picture field that's going to be probably half crowd pleasers and blockbusters. And I just feel like for all that Top Gun, again, any other year feels like it would get in there as the representation for that. When its competition is Black Panther, Avatar, Glass Onion, Woman King, and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Like Top Gun Maverick is the least prestige of that crowd. And when it's such a blockbustery crowd, I think that's going to work against it. That's my prediction. Kaczynski's not getting director. Like you said, it's not his moment.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, rapid fire. Tell me if you think these directors will have any slight chance. James Gray.
No.
No. Okay.
Spielberg kind of ate his lunch just because they both did the auto thing. And
I know
James Gray is so pickly. I love him, but
he's so pickly. I know honestly, one of the worst timings to make a movie of that sort. It's sad. And I saw Armageddon Time on Friday and it was lovely.
Is it?
It is absolutely lovely.
How do you feel about Hopkins sneaking into supporting? I haven't seen it yet.
He would be my winner at this point. Who did you mention before? You said Judd Hirsch.
I think Kahi Kwan. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think Hirsch, Kahi Kwan, Wish on Women Talking.
Okay.
those three
Brendan Gleeson. Yeah.
Those four
Terrific.
feel like the likely nominees. I have no idea who's going to win of that set.
Right.
But the Academy really likes Hopkins, so that's why I'm wondering.
That'd be 3 Oscars for him, wouldn't it?
Oh, I don't think he's going to win. I'm saying as a nominee.
Oh, absolutely.
As a nominee, you think he's in?
It's tough to say. Personally, my ballot, I'd throw him in. He's incredible. But who else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Damien Chazelle, in or out?
Nah, that movie screams bomb. Everything about it, right?
Dude, all of his movies have made their money back. No, did First Man? First Man was a hit.
First Man was like quietly a hit. I think. I don't know, man. You see, it's going to be 3 hours and 8 minutes.
Yeah, I'm in the minority. I'm not excited about that at all.
I'm kind of excited about that, but that a 3 hour and 8 minute movie that apparently was like on the edge of getting an NC-17.
Right.
From a guy who's kind of got nothing to say. I don't know. I don't see it landing well.
Okay, that's fair. It's like,
but it's a weak picture field, so it could get into picture.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like a movie about Hollywood made by the guy that did La La Land. It's like the numbers are there if you crunch them. Like he's got a chance, but not an advocate at all. I am not
confident enough that I would put money against him getting a Best Director nomination.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I've put money on Top Gun missing picture.
I want to talk to you about this when that comes out too. So because that's gonna be fascinating for Top Gun.
Sure. Oh, Top Gun.
Yeah.
Maybe Elvis. I forgot Elvis when I was rattling off all the big crowd pleasing blockbusters that Top Gun has to compete with. Fucking Elvis is in the mix, my dude.
I mean, I put all my money in Austin Butler, but I don't know if
he's not winning, but he's
no, absolutely not. No. But look, man, Baz Luhrmann, I want just nothing but good for him, you know?
I love him.
I love him so much.
Blonde. This is my hot take.
I don't want anyone to touch Blonde anymore. That's like a reekage that needs to be just forgotten about for a long time. But a few more I just wanted to mention. What, the Daniels, yes or no?
I think everything's the reputation, everything as an Oscar juggernaut is maybe a little overstated. I think they're probably a lock to win screenplay. And I think that is going to be their reward more than getting it as directors. I think it's just too crowded.
That's a lock. That is a lock for screenplay. Yeah, you're correct.
It feels like a slam dunk. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I just don't know. I don't know. Maybe they will. I'm more confident about. I feel they have better chances than anyone else you've said.
Okay,
but I think Field and McDonough and Östlund all seem more like directors' branch picks.
Every time you say Östlund, I just die a little bit inside. Did
you see it?
No, I don't.
It's awful. I hate him. He sucks so bad.
Force Majeure is fine, but
Force Majeure is fine. It's a good time.
I don't see it being the end all be all of, satire of the 2010s, which some people have said. But okay, one more. This one's just for me. SS Rajamouli for RRR. Can you imagine a world where that would happen and how
it's
glorious?
Never gonna happen.
No, but
it would be incredible.
A dark horse pick though, because people have rediscovered it for the past 6 months.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to put it back. Yeah. I mean, I think if I was running variants, I would put all my weight on trying to get Natu into song, which I think very well could happen. And like not to be crass, but Rajamouli signed with CAA. He said he's got another Tollywood film in the pipe. But it sounds like after that he's going to come over and do something in America. If I were Variance Films, I would maybe try to get Natu into it, and then like be able to take the credit in 5 years when a studio with a bigger budget sneaks it in. I don't know. It feels, if it happens, I think it has a better shot at picture than director, to be honest. But and I don't think it has a very good shot. If it happens, it's gonna be awesome,
amazing. Like I said, that was just for me. That's the directorial achievement of the year, in my opinion. So I was like sneak it in my ballot, but yeah,
it's a very
never gonna
special
happen.
movie. It's not even his best movie. All you RRR heads, track down Magadira from 2009, which is the first movie of his that I saw. It's Ram Charan's first movie. That thing is next level good.
That's better than RRR.
Yeah.
Okay.
My one ping on RRR is that I wish there was a little more dancing in it.
Yes.
And Magadira kind of scratches that itch for me.
We need more dance sequences with suspenders in film, you know, like
it's so good.
That's so invigorating, that whole sequence. So
I don't think Gold Derby even has RR on the list, which is maybe Gold Derby's bias, but
it's a lock for foreign language film. It's not.
It's a lock to not get foreign international film. It wasn't their pick.
It's not.
No, India
what did
picked
they
something
choose?
Else. Hold on.
That is utterly shocking to me.
I'm not really the person to be speaking on this. My understanding is that there's a bit of a cultural thing that RRR is maybe just mindless entertainment and they wanted something a little artsier.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's not for them. It's for us.
A weird case because it's really the first Indian like blockbuster that has been actively sold to white American audiences. Like, not to be crass, but that's what's going on here.
I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I am not in any way an expert in Indian cinema. I find it very intimidating and I have very few endpoints. And that's part of the reason I find it intimidating. I just happened to see a screening of Magadira like 5 years ago. I got into Rajamouli for a while.
Nice.
So, I mean, and I'd always thought like he could probably crack over here because just the spectacle of it, like exactly what happened with RRR, that people want that sort of spectacle in American cinemas.
Yeah, they did a retrospective of all of his films here in LA, and
did you go?
I'm my biggest regret. No, I had to work, and it was my biggest regret not taking off and going to that because they played, I believe, 4 or 5 of his films, and they ended with RRR. And he was there, so he was doing like sort of a retrospective talk between each film. But God, I wish I had shelled out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure within. I mean, he works very slowly for obvious reasons.
You have to, yeah.
Those movies, but he often, like, if you look at it, it's usually like 3 or 4 years between movies. And I think most of that is because they're such belabored, grandiose productions. But I would not be surprised if within the next decade, I think he's going to make an American film. And I'm interested in seeing what that's going to look like.
Who's your dream casting for, like, not to say he would remake RRR, but if you made a buddy movie in the States, what dudes would you pick for?
Well, Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum's physicality, the physicality aspect.
Exactly. I'm thinking like, who's physical, who can move? I mean, who can dance these days? You know, that's the thing.
Austin Butler proved us he could.
Butler's good. I don't know if Butler's funny is the thing.
I don't think he is.
I also don't know if Austin Butler is a good actor or someone who cast a magic spell to channel the spirit of Elvis Presley in that movie.
No, that's exactly what I said. That's my hesitance for his nomination, but he's incredible.
You know, but someone who maybe I don't know if he can dance, but has that sense of like physical space and is funny and charming. And I think it's surprising this guy hasn't done something with Channing Tatum yet, because I think it seems like a natural pair. Gosling.
Yeah.
I'm a big let Gosling be funny proponent.
Yes.
I'm kind of tired of the glower.
Tell me about it. No more roughing for you, Gosling. Just do more Shane Black.
I'm terrified that Rajamouli is going to get put on a Marvel movie and it's going to suck. And I think what the worst part is, that's what I said on Letterboxd when Thor Ragnarok came out. I said they should just hire Rajamouli.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm terrified it's going to happen.
You manifest it. You're going to manifest it
know.
again. Fuck. Anyway, we should pivot. We should pivot to October
talk about horror movies in this horror movie podcast.
Look, that Oscar talk and Reichardt talk was for me and me alone.
No, please. I love doing the Oscar talk.
Me too. So
you specifically know how insane I get.
I do. I wanted to pick your brain a little bit just for we could go through every category and I'd be thrilled, but let's
we can do that at some point.
We can do it another point. Yeah.
On or off mic, who cares?
Yeah.
Happy to.
Absolutely. I just wanted to talk about Halloween, man. I just want to talk about October, my favorite month of the year. I know it's a broken record to sort of say that it's fun to watch horror movies and cuddle up, but like I just adore it. It's like my favorite thing ever. When did that start for you? Because for me, it was I mean, I grew up in the age of cable television, I'm sorry to say. So I was throwing on AMC and watching all of the Halloween movies start to finish every year when I was a teenager. I would go to Blockbuster. I'd rent all the Nightmare movies and the Friday movies. And I grew up in the Midwest, so the fall weather is infectious and I just love the spirit of everything. So what about you? Like, when did you start like throwing yourself into the genre when October comes around?
I mean, I think like a lot of stuff that you are saying is the same that's true for me.
Cool.
There used to be a Blockbuster 10-minute walk from the house I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just an easy way to like raid stuff. We also had it's closed now, but we had in my hometown one of the biggest independent video stores in the country in terms of library size. And I didn't love that place because the people who worked there were kind of assholes. But it was also the sort of place where you could just like hole up in the horror section, just like look at boxes, which that was a big thing for me, was like this perverse fascination I've had since a kid of just like wanting to know what's in these movies and like that thread. In terms of like my obsessive, like spend October just watching horror movies thing, I've been on Letterboxd since 2012. And I don't think, I really was. I think I was literally the first day they opened up the beta, I got in. That's nothing to brag about. That's nothing to brag about.
That's just, how did you even know?
Somebody got an access code and passed. It was like, you might like this. I don't even remember who it was.
Okay.
But it was like a Twitter thing. But I think that like that sense of like, Letterboxd comes, I think, the joint sense that you are more conscious about patterns in what you're watching, and the sense that whether or not they are, people can be observing what you're watching. And I think that kind of just sparked in me a desire to like do this committed, October is only horror movies thing. And like I'm not like a zealot about it. Like I saw showing up, like we were talking about. I'll go see non-horror movies in like theaters or whatever. I watched a couple at home that weren't horror, but generally, unless there's a specific reason I need to be watching a non-horror movie during October, I'm never just gonna be like, I just want to throw something on and I'll pick a comedy. Like I do try to stay committed to it. And the first year I set a goal of like, I'm going to watch 50 new horror movies. And then the second year I was like, I'm just going to watch 100 horror movies. I pulled that off. I pulled it off. I tried to keep doing that for a couple of years. I never pulled it off again. And past couple of years I've been like, I don't have a goal. I'm just going for it.
That's what I was going to bring up, because I think you are a big reason why I caught this bug, because I saw you doing this via Letterboxd, where you would say, I might try to hit 50 movies. And I tried to hit, I think in 2017, 2018, something like that, I hit 50, which to you, I mean, that sounds pretty, rudimentary, but like that for me was maybe the most films I've ever watched. Right. I mean, me too, but it's the binge factor of October where I left my apartment way less. I held up there a lot just to hit that mark. And there's something that my mental health always takes a toll on October because of this. And I just wanted to like dig in. Is it bad that we do this, but I only watched 22 this month. I'll say right up top. We have 2 days left in the month. And even then I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Because I still go to the theaters. I still watch, I've been watching a Stanley Kubrick movie a week and stuff like that.
Me too,
which, I have my patterns.
We're almost out. We're almost out. We're almost free. I'm so fucking tired of Stanley Kubrick.
Okay. Worse than Tim Burton for you? For a director binge?
No, clearly not. Clearly not.
I just would love to catch that on mic. That would be an amazing soundbite. But no, absolutely
People
not.
don't tell me Tim Burton is good to the same degree they tell me Stanley Kubrick is good, though.
I know.
I mean, Fear and Desire's down there. But no, I kind of get what you're saying. Like, I definitely, even though I don't have this like, oh my God, I need to hit 100 thing in me, I do definitely like watch more movies during October than I do during other months.
Yeah.
And I think around like this last week, I do usually start to get a little burnt out. Like, I'm really excited for Tuesday to come. We're recording this on the 30th, by the way. I'm really excited for Tuesday to come, and I can watch like I don't know. I'm just keeping like I have a mental list running in my head of non-horror movies that have gone to streaming this past month, and it's like
there's so much.
I haven't watched the new Lena Dunham movie yet.
I know,
which looks incredible. It looks super charming.
Amazing.
There's stuff like that. That James Bond music documentary just sounds like catnip to me. Like, I'm really excited to get to like, not that I don't like horror, but like, as we hit this end streak, I'm like 2 more days and then I can watch like a nice comedy or an action movie or something.
It's normal to get fatigued for one particular genre specifically, but it's part of why I love it, because I get enraptured in this particular feeling when watching films. But yeah, I can't wait. I think I'm gonna go see the new Park Chan-wook movie the day, and that's horror adjacent. So
no, not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. No, trust me. I just
associate with Park Chan-wook as
no. It's
that's good to hear though. That's good to hear then.
It's very Hitchcocky.
Mm-hmm.
It's very silly.
Yes,
he has called it a rom-com. He's not lying.
It's like his Rebecca or something.
I mean, it very literally is riffing on a specific Hitchcock movie that is not Rebecca.
Okay.
But tonally, it feels like this hyper-mediated, manic contemporary riff on the tone of like his 30s stuff, like The Lady Vanishes or 39 Steps, where they're like thrillers, but they're also like light comedies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's that
Love
bubbliness to early Hitchcock.
There is.
And while this narratively is taking more of its cues from a certain late Hitchcock movie, and is very serious when it must be serious, it can be very violent, and it's very, it has that bubbly, silly energy to it, which I think is really interesting. I don't know. I need to see it again. I might have fallen asleep during part of it. I was definitely exhausted when I saw it. I saw it at the New York Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I know that I didn't like it as much as I will.
Yeah.
I certainly am a little softer than a lot of people are. I do think I was not the best audience member for it, and I want to see it again before I'm confident on that. I think you're going to have a blast.
I will. I mean, in 2016, when I saw The Handmaiden, that was probably the best theater experience I had all year. So that
movie is also very funny, but it's a totally different funny.
I'm sure
you'll get it within like 10 minutes of this movie starting. You'll get what I'm talking. The tone is very apparent, and Tong Wei definitely was one of the best performances of the year.
Awesome,
comfortable.
I give it to me now.
But don't worry that's going to be horror adjacent like his other stuff is.
No, yeah. It's preconceived notions.
It's his most. I know I already used this analogy. It's his most like show it to your grandparents movie he's ever made. If they say they swear a lot in it, I feel like if they didn't swear a lot in it, this would probably be a PG-13.
Wow.
It's got a very light touch, and it's way more like inviting than a lot of his other stuff is.
That's relieving.
I think that's why so many people are so taken with it, because it is such a unique thing. I don't know. I'm seeing it again this weekend. I'm really excited.
Great. I mean, after watching Thirst, which is maybe his most punishing film, it's also really comical, but in the sense of like French extreme horror.
Yeah.
Where
there's a There's a perverse comedy to a lot of his stuff. I think.
Yeah. But I just watched that because it fit the mold of October, and
absolutely.
I wanted to finish.
I did not end up watching that, but I thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was on my short list.
It's great. I highly recommend it. Song King Ho is brilliant. As always.
Everyone loves Song King Ho.
God, I was. Did you see the Correda movie at New York Film Festival?
Did not play.
I know they're okay.
Did not know. I don't really like Coreda. Sorry.
I don't know what to say to that.
I've only seen Shoplifters, which is basically
no. You have to watch more. You have to watch more.
Yeah, but like, okay. Here's my hot take. Everyone who's like, Coda is bullshit. Coda's bad. Coda, there's like no craft to Coda. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. People, the anti-Coda contingent, were saying last year. Anyone who holds that opinion, but likes Shoplifters, is just letting them buy into this notion that a Japanese film is inherently a better movie than an American film. Shoplifters is just a bad Sundance movie.
I see what you're saying.
It has good performances in it, but it is a mawkish, cheap, kind of hacky tearjerker. And if that was an American film, everyone would see it for what it is.
Yeah, but
sorry,
it has a South Korean charm, dude. It has that.
No.
It has that gentleness of Ozu.
No,
I love
nothing it. To.
Okay.
Sorry.
I see. That's why I don't ask about directors I like. I always get hurt.
What should have won? Can we agree that Under the Silver Lake or Cold War should have won the Palm that year?
No. I would still go Shoplifters. Under the Silver Lake's a perverse movie that I don't think should have won Cannes. I love it, but it's not a Palme d'Or winner.
That is the only Correia film I've seen. I should not blow him off just like that. The new one looks interminable. I'm just gonna say, sorry.
Okay,
I'm sure Afterlife and Erdal and Still Walking are wonderful.
Still Walking is wonderful.
I'll watch it. Watch it.
Yeah, yeah. That. Anyway, back to October. Should we just talk about the movies we want to talk about now?
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
I will go first. Do you want to go first? You're the guest.
You go first.
I got to be hospitable here.
I would like you to go first.
Okay. I'm gonna pick. I'll talk about a movie I know you adore as well. One of my favorite horror directors, Tobe Hooper, and his next movie after what I consider the greatest horror movie of all time, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He made Eaten Alive, which is just terrific on every level. It is a sensory experience like unlike any 70s horror movie that I've seen. If you know, like if you've seen the movie, it is punishing to watch, but it also has his perverse humor in his characters and how everyone's downright the worst character in a film that you've ever seen. And the sets are wonderful. That was the first movie I watched in October just because I was dying to watch it for so long. And it rules. Yeah, it's 5 out of 5 masterpiece. Do you have anything to add about Eaten Alive?
I adore Eaten Alive. I saw it for the first time last year. I put it off for a long time, even though I am a big Hooper guy. Not as big as some people are, but I quite like Hooper. I put it off for a long time because I don't know. Everyone always sells it as a killer crocodile movie, which it kind of is, I guess.
Kind of is.
But it's a killer crocodile movie in the same way that X and Pearl are killer crocodile movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I don't think I realized that was the case because I'm gonna say killer animal movies are like I never really vibe with them. Like obviously there are some good ones, but it doesn't spark interest in me. So I put it off. But I watched it and somebody said this. I was reading some stuff. I can't remember who. Somebody said it's basically his version of an old Dark House movie, and that's really what it is. It's the crocodile or is an alligator, I can't remember, is a relatively minor part, as is this idea that the guy who runs this motel is a serial killer. The real tension of the movie is all these people coming to the motel, their own stories, their own perversities and grotesqueries, and the way all this like very rancid evil kind of collides with itself in this almost cursed location. that feels like it's summoning evil to it. That's the one where My Name's Buck and I Like to Fuck comes from, right?
It is, yeah. Absolutely.
From Kill Bill.
From Kill Bill.
But no, it's not a pleasant watch, but like it is probably Hooper's like most perverse capturing of like pure raw evil.
Yeah.
In a way on camera. And he made Texas Chainsaw, which I also think is a better movie, but
absolutely.
There's a levity to Texas Chainsaw that I think is gone in Eaten Alive. In a way.
Yeah. Eaten Alive is more fragmented than Texas Chainsaw. Like Texas Chainsaw like builds off of each other, where like Eaten Alive is almost like the geography matters so much because you're following like 3 different plot lines at a time, quite literally on different levels of the house, which is so fun. But yeah, it's a punishing watch, but I will still give it my highest recommendations.
You've got a great early Bob Englund performance.
Yeah. He's such a scumbag in that movie. It's lovely.
A great performance by William Finley. The great character actor I think most people would probably know from Brian De Palma movies.
Yeah, Phantom of the Paradise, right?
The titular Phantom of the Paradise. It's also one of the few movies Kyle Richards made. Like she's in this like a year before Halloween, 2 years before Halloween.
Oh wow, yeah, that's right.
Did you see that? I know you didn't want to talk about Halloween ends. We don't have to. But I do think we have to give David Gordon Green props for recreated the Kyle Richards screaming woman meme in Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly.
That one meme listeners from Real Housewives, where the brunette is holding back the angry blonde woman.
Yeah.
That's Kyle Richards holding her back, and David Gordon Green has that like exact same setup occur with Kyle Richards in Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends, a great movie.
Okay. That's a great Easter egg. No, I love that.
It's so funny.
That's great. Yeah. What do you want to kick off with?
So you had asked me to put together a top 5, which I did.
Thank you.
I stuck to stuff that Discovery. So I didn't put any rewatches. I didn't put in any new releases just because I thought that was more interesting. And I don't know that I really saw any truly great new releases. I will say I cheated. My number 5 thing I want to talk about from this past month is not the 5th best movie I saw this month. I saw quite a bit of stuff that I think was better than this, but it is the only movie I saw this month that I think truly scared me. And that's why I wanted to talk about it. The movie's called Savage Land. It's from 2015. It's directed by, hold on here, Phil Guidry, Simon Herbert, and David Whelan. To my best of my knowledge, this is the only movie any of the 3 of them have made, let alone together. It's a found footage movie. I think more than any genre, any like horror subgenre, I tend to prefer when found footage movies do something different. Certainly there are like obviously like the big ones I like, and certainly there are movies that I quite like something like Grave Encounters. That really is just like, it's just a very scary found footage movie. But if you ask me to list out the found footage movies that I really am taken with, the ones that come to mind are stuff like Lake Mungo or Noroi or Butterfly Kisses, all of which, I mean, I guess talking this out now, all of which I think do something formally or narratively very intriguing. Though I noticed now that I listed those 3 movies and I've also listed this movie. I guess the other thing that I'm really taken with is found footage movies that are fake documentaries. Yeah. Which like the Blair Witch Project is not a fake documentary. Paranormal Activity is not a fake documentary. Those are the cases where it's like, we have found this footage and we are presenting it to you. A movie like Lake Mungo or like this movie, Savage Land, is like, we have found this movie and we have gone through and made a documentary centering on it with talking heads, with this sense of context. That's less, these movies become less, I think, about this descent into death. That's something like Paranormal Activity or Hell House LLC, 2 very terrific movies are. Awesome. So Savage Land is, like I said, It is a pseudo documentary. It is incredibly dry. Like it really feels like an early true crime documentary, like not those contemporary true crime documentaries that are very sensationalized, but like almost something that could have aired on PBS. Like it is very affecting this very bored sense. And the conceit of this movie is that there's a small town in Arizona near Mexico. Less than 100 people live there. They're pretty much all immigrants who work in the actual town a bit north. And one night, everyone in the town dies or disappears, because all that's left is just strewn body parts all over the town. And they really don't have any sense of like who's here and who's left, because everything's just so mutilated. There's one survivor. He gets arrested. He gets convicted for going on a rampage. The crux of the documentary for the first half is a movie about like the sort of activist work people in the town and people from outside the town are doing to clear this guy's name. About half of the movie, they stumble on a cache of photographs that he took that night that the prosecution had ruled as fraudulent. And that's the first trick of this movie, is that this is a found footage movie where the footage that is found is still images. And the second half of the movie charts a comparison bit for bit of what the prosecution said this guy's massacre was versus what is the story that these photographs tell. And these photographs are really upsetting and haunting. And they suffuse this movie with such a like true dread and just sense that there's something else out there, that like I truly had a hard time sleeping that night, and it stuck with me. And like, is this the best movie I've ever seen? No, I think it's a solid, like pretty good B minus movie. That's just very scary. I think a lot of people are going to get turned off by how dry it is.
Yes.
But I'm going to say this is a found footage movie. It is also another horror subgenre. I don't want to say what that horror subgenre is. If I told you what it is, because it is kind of a surprise when you realize what this movie is. If I told you what this movie is, and certainly when the reveal happened, my heart kind of sank, because I was like, oh God, you would be like, well, there's no way anyone's making a good blank movie ever again. It's the most played out, conventional horror subgenre there is. And this movie makes it scary again. It's what I have to imagine it was when a certain movie was made some time ago. I'm sorry I'm dancing around this. I don't want to give it away.
Oh, please don't.
The movie is Savage Land. It's 80 minutes long. It's really scary. It's on Tubi, the best streaming service.
The greatest streaming service.
So, absolutely.
Bar none. Yeah.
Which sometimes, I will say, sometimes the Tubi of it all can be a little annoying when you're watching a movie. This movie, with how dry it is and how like, I mean, I was scrolling through Letterboxd, and I know some people were like, I thought this was a real documentary until about halfway through. The ads interrupting this movie actually kind of help.
Okay.
Because it kind of feels like something you like stumble on TV. It feels like something that could air on the History Channel. I said PBS. This is like a History Channel dryness to it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That is the beauty of Tubi, not to get off topic, but like I love the ads create like an illusion that you're watching something on cable, especially when you're watching like something like you're talking about, like a found footage, not mockumentary, but like trying to play off the fact that it could be real or an actual documentary on PBS, which that's really creative with the form, you know, like I love Blair Witch Project, but it's also, it sells itself that it actually happened. And at the time it's really innovative, but now it's like, it's become somewhat of a overused trope. So that sounds like it really reinvents at least the marketing aspect of the movie you're talking about, because that it's a very stale genre at this point in time. And I feel like the ones like really obscure ones like that you just brought up are the ones that will stand out. So
I would hope no one needs to be told to go see like Lake Mungo at this point.
No, Lake Mungo is incredible. Like,
but I would hope that, 12 years later, everyone knows that you should watch Lake Mungo.
Sure.
The other ones I listed, like I said, Noroi the Curse, Butterfly Kisses, these are all available. These are all out there. Poughkeepsie Tapes is out there now.
Yeah. Hell House is genuinely, frightening to me.
Hell House LLC is wonderful, but Hell House LLC is also like, it is just oh my God, we found some tapes of something horrible happening.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't reinvent the form. It's just extraordinary. And then he made 2 dog shit sequels. And also, did you know that there is a director's cut of Hell House LLC that is 39 minutes longer?
No, but I will seek that out.
I truly think Stephen Cognetti doesn't understand why Hell House LLC was good.
Yeah. I mean, judging on making 2 sequels off of that same concept is absurd.
That are terrible. 2 sequels that are terrible and that are mostly lore. when Hell House LLC, the reason Hell House LLC is good is because
there is no lore. Yeah,
it's a mystery.
It's a mystery. Yeah,
like literally, Hell House LLC is something horrible happened in this basement. Unfortunately, we didn't capture it on film, so we're going to show you everything else around it. He's making a fucking prequel. He's making Hell House LLC Origins. He needs to be stopped.
Yeah, someone pull him off, like Jason Blum or someone, like anyone.
I mean, he probably just doesn't have anything else. I truly think he made a movie by accident, or he made a bad movie and it was salvaged in the edit. Like that could very well be the case too. Because if you tell me the director's cut's 40 minutes longer and Hell House LLC is already like kind of probably too long. Yeah.
That's like purgatory.
But I'm sorry, I get annoyed at this because the sequel's terrible. Hell House LLC is an incredible movie.
Fantastic.
So scary.
Yeah. Just imagery that still haunts my nightmares to this
day.
Haunts
my day. Yeah. Understands minimalism in the way that I think few found footage movies do. And the ones that do, I do think are the ones that are more formally adventurous. Yeah. Like we were saying about Lake Mungo, there's kind of like the image is so vital in that movie, especially I work as an editor. So there's a lot of just the zoom ins in that movie they hit close to home because like there's nothing scarier than you think you perceive an image for what it is. And then like 10 minutes later, it's something totally different just in the corner of your eye. Like that movie preys on one of my greatest fears. And that's because of its minimalism too. Just zooming in on a certain image. But yeah, it sucks so bad that Joel Anderson has not made a second movie.
Yeah, this is a big mystery. What happened?
I truly have no idea.
Yeah, but make no sequels, but make more movies, man.
Yeah. Oh God. Don't say Lake Mungo too.
No, absolutely not. No. Okay. I'm kind of moving through time here. I'm gonna jump a decade later. I'm gonna talk about The Blob from 1988. Chuck Russell's The Blob. So a friend came over with this movie, and I kind of loathe the 1950s version with Steve McQueen. That might be a bit harsh, but it didn't do much for me in terms of. I'm not a big fan of 1950s monsters movies like other people. Like people tend to romanticize them a lot more than I think they should be, but that's just me. But and the Blob remake though is possibly as good of a remake as The Fly, in terms of taking an original property and completely reinventing it visually and tonally, and the effects in this movie are not discussed enough. They are absolutely incredible and just so. There's a scene in a phone booth in this film. I think you've seen the film, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's a scene where a woman is being sort of absorbed by this blob in a phone booth, and you could see a human being in the blob that was killed earlier. And it's one of the most upsetting images I've ever seen in a horror movie. Obviously there's a ton of fun kills in this movie. There's a drain scene that kind of knocked my socks off. There's a movie theater scene that's just incredible, just incredibly well executed. And this was like my biggest surprise of October because someone brought it over and just threw it on. I'm like, I do not need to see another iteration of The Blob. And no one talks about it being like perhaps one of the greatest horror remakes of all time. And are you with me on that?
Undeniably. It's not just that, it's I mean, it's maybe the best, like pure effect showcase of the
Yes.
80s.
Yeah.
And just the stuff, like as impressive as like anything in any Nightmare movie is, in The Thing, in,
Any
in
Stuart Gordon
Hellraiser,
picture.
In any Stuart Gordon picture, as impressive as the shunting is at the end of Society, like I truly do think just all the grotesque horror that they pull off with the Blob in the Blob is just mind blowing, and it's so brilliantly, I think, like walks that line between like wonderful crowd pleaser and being legitimately upsetting in the same way that something like The Thing does, and I think it should be in that conversation. I'll also say that I don't know if there's any director in history who has a better first and second movie than Chuck Russell. Yeah.
What? Nightmare 3, right?
Nightmare 3, which is incredible. And this. Obviously, there are better debut films than Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Without question.
Are you sure about that?
I love Nightmare on Elm Street 3. It's not even the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie. It's incredible. But I don't know that I can think of any filmmaker where 1 and 2 as a unit are as strong as the combo of Nightmare 3 and the Blob. And it kind of bums me out that Chuck Russell was never able to really capitalize on that.
100%. I was discussing with my friends last night, like he fell down a weird rabbit hole of switching genres, like left and right. Like he made 2 of the most iconic 80s horror movies I would say there is, but then he works with Jim Carrey in The Mask. He works with Arnold in Eraser. He does the first Scorpion King movie. It's just bizarre genre shifts to me.
His new movie is finally coming out after seemingly just being on a permanent shelf.
Paradise City with
Paradise City, baby.
Bruce Willis.
Paradise City with Travolta and Bruce Willis. They shot that in like a week back in like May of 2021. And then nothing. I'm very excited for it. Just because I'm a bit of a Chuck Russell tourist. No, that's the thing about him that I don't really understand is that, like, say what you will about The Mask as a movie, but The Mask is a huge hit.
Massive hit. Yeah.
Bona fide, like, insane effects showcase. And I mean, I know they said this on Blank Check when they did the Scorpion King last year, but they're right. Like, why wasn't The Mask Chuck Russell's Aliens? Yeah. Like, is it because the Jim Carrey of it all? Like, Jim Carrey kind of becomes the auteur of these movies?
100%.
But
100%.
For anyone else, this sense of like, you make these 2 really successful, horror movies in the 80s, and then you kind of graduate to this like effects bonanza studio film that people respond to. Like, you should not then become the anonymous director of a late period Arnie movie.
Yeah.
And I don't, is he an asshole? Like, do people not think of him as the guy who made The Mask work? Because he's definitely the guy who made The Mask work.
100%.
Because Nightmare 3 and Blob are also like these insane effects showcases.
Exactly.
He takes 6 years off to like figure out the CGI. To get The Mask to be good. Like, that's why there's such a long gap. Is it because there's a huge gap? I don't know, but it's this weird, like, what if in Hollywood history of Chuck Russell, the great failure of potential in a way. And I hate to be rude, but
no.
100%. Like, the man went over and did a Bollywood movie, for God's sake. That's interesting, but most American directors don't do that. It's him and Jennifer Lynch.
Yeah, he hooked his wagon to like, The Rock, and now John Travolta. It's
he did 2 Travoltas, I think, right?
Yeah, I Am Wrath.
Which I heard was not very good.
It doesn't look very good. Bless the Child looks semi-intriguing to me.
Yeah, but that's also kind of just like a cheap studio programmer.
And it looks borderline like a TV picture to me.
Yeah,
too,
like
kind of.
He's just the potential of those first 3 movies, I don't think should lead to the career he had since then. He is making another Bollywood movie. That's very interesting. I should watch the first one he did.
I to Jung Lee.
Yeah. It's just like American directors don't go over to India. Hell, Indian directors don't really come over to America.
Yeah.
He was 60 years old and he went over and made a Bollywood movie. That's
Crazy.
that's just so, and he's doing a second one. It's a very weird career. I don't know. I'm becoming more and more of a Chuck Russell tourist.
I love that. I love that. And
as someone who mostly was just like Nightmare and Blob are great, and I had never really thought. But I just go back to Blob. I had a similar experience like 10 years ago. I just like went to a screening of the Blob, and I was like, oh, this will probably be fun. And then I saw the Blob, and I was like, oh my god, this is like quietly one of the best movies of the 80s in any genre.
Absolutely, and
I adore it.
It is such an artifact of its time, also because of the cast. Because you have Frank Darabont co-wrote this movie, which I didn't know about.
He also wrote Nightmare 3.
Right. Yeah.
Which is another thing that, like, I know Darabont is another guy whose career kind of burnt out, but
that's true. That's very true.
Like around the time Chuck Russell's career is starting to falter, if we take this sense that like going to Eraser is the downgrade, Darabont's making back-to-back Best Picture nominees, like who that are hits. Like you would think this association would help Russell too. But again, Darabont is kind of notoriously not to tell tales out of school.
Notorious asshole.
Yeah, exactly. We both heard all the stories.
That is bizarre that they have the same career trajectory. I never thought about that.
Well, but Darabont's is prestige.
Yeah,
and Russell becomes Darabont is prestige into being basically blacklisted. And
he hooked his wagon to Stephen King though for all three movies. Yeah, and
there's a fourth one in there, isn't there?
I think so.
And then I'm forgetting.
Nothing coming to mind.
He hooks his wagon to Stephen King, and I think all three of those movies are terrific. Everyone forgets that he created The Walking Dead.
That's what I was gonna say. He hooked his wagon to
fired
TV.
Off The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But that was supposed to be his big thing. Oh, The Majestic is the other Frank Darabont movie. The Jim Carrey movie.
No recollection.
Goddamn Carrey.
It all comes back. It all comes back. Yeah.
He's a dollar baby. I didn't know that. Do you know about the dollar babies?
No.
I don't know if this is still the thing he does, but for a long time, Stephen King basically had like a thing he would do where he would sell rights to his movies to film students.
Oh yes, I did.
To make shorts
for $1.
Yeah. With the idea that they were never going to actually make money off the shorts.
Right.
So he only did it like 5 or 6 times. Guy Madden, I'm looking at this right now. Apparently Guy Madden was one, but never actually made the movie. But yeah, Frank Darabont was one of the first dollar babies.
Wow. Interesting.
That's a cool thing that Stephen King did. I always thought that was really sweet.
No, that's really sweet.
Oh, you know what? He's doing it as soon as this year. Oh, he's not done.
He's still doing it?
He took like 6 years off, but oh no, he'll still do it. Yeah.
He's secretly a lovely man. I never considered that.
Yeah, he seems cool. It's a nice thing to do, and like you don't lose anything from it. Yeah. Anyway, The Blob, great movie.
Yeah, I just want
Chuck Russell. What happened?
It fucking rules. What happened to Chuck Russell?
I also love. Spoilers for The Blob. Fast forward 30 seconds, but it's a 30-year-old movie. Any movie that kills a kid, killing a kid always good.
Yeah,
having
those
a kid
kids
get eaten by
suck
a blob.
too. Yeah. Those kids were the worst. Also, seeing Shawnee Smith in any movie, I always love. Who played Amanda in the Saw movies? I always thought she was a terrific actor. She was a big child star. I didn't realize prior to Saw. So, and of course, Kevin Dillon.
Just a great cast of like weird character.
Exactly. Yeah. Seek it out. It is a lovely.
There's a Blu,
remake. Right? There's but we watched the Shout Factory Blu-ray.
There's a Shout Factory disc. Okay.
The transfer is magnificent. It looks like a new movie. That up. Yeah, absolutely.
They still haven't shipped my order from a month ago, but that's okay. I understand. I'm not bitching about it.
Unfortunately,
I've worked in Blu-ray shipping. I get it.
Yeah. It's Shout Factory can be a little slow.
They got overwhelmed. It's totally fine.
Yeah, just don't support Amazon. Just keep going to Shout and keep supporting them. Number 4 for you?
My number 4 is this is probably the least pure horror movie I watched this month that I'm counting as a horror movie, but it's a great Halloween movie because it is set on Halloween, and it is probably it is a horror comedy with a lot of emphasis on the comedy. It's Arsenic and Old Lace. the Frank Capra movie. Have you seen Arsenic and Old Lace?
No, I had no idea that was a Halloween centric movie, but
it
I
is
love Frank Capra.
Quite literally set on Halloween.
Wow. It's blowing my mind a bit.
The thing about Arsenic and Old Lace, and I guess this is like kind of a spoiler. It's a spoiler in that the first 15 minutes like act as a misdirection. So I guess maybe skip ahead a bit if you really want to like fall for the misdirection. But the first 15 minutes of Arsenic and Old Lace are Cary Grant is a famous like columnist and author. He's his big thing is that he's anti-marriage. Like he's kind of gone to fame by like writing a book and a series of columns that argue that, you know, marriage is an outdated thing and that men and women should be free to just like sow their oats and you know, live fun lives as bachelors. Except then he falls for his childhood sweetheart and marries her in secret. So for the first 15 minutes, you think the tension of this movie is going to be, oh no, this like very much a screwball comedy. Like, oh, this guy who thought he was going to be like a swinging bachelor for all his life has gotten locked down. And then he has been somewhat raised by his old batty aunts in Brooklyn. And she grew up next door. And they go back to Brooklyn to basically pack up and get ready to go to Niagara Falls to his honeymoon. And Cary Grant's looking for his stuff. And he finds a corpse shoved into like a box. And he quickly realizes that his kindly old aunts are serial killers.
Oh my.
They've been taking that they take in. This is vaguely set in the Depression.
Yeah.
Capra shot this in 42, right before he went off to the war. It did not come out till 44 because the play was such a hit that they had to keep it until it closed on Broadway. But his aunts had been taking in hobos, giving them a nice meal and then poisoning them because they feel that like they're bringing peace to dangerous men. So the movie becomes this like batshit manic farce where Cary Grant is trying to figure out how to handle this and to keep his good name safe, with also the intrusion of his older brother, who is also a serial killer, but much more of like a brutal one, played by Raymond Massey, who is made up to look like Boris Karloff, who played the role on stage and explicitly has gotten plastic surgery to look like Boris Karloff. And it becomes this weird manic thing where everyone's killing everyone else. And Grant, quietly one of the best like beleaguered straight men, I think, in studio era Hollywood,
100%.
is just running around this house trying to put out all these fires and figure out what he's doing. It's such a manic movie. Like I said, it's very much a comedy. It doesn't really have that many scares. There are multiple serial killers in it. Peter Lorre's in it. But it's just a good like Halloween, you know, the wind whistling through the leaves. You know, a good watch, I think.
First of all, that's a wild comment on the Great Depression, as Capra does, but not. That is so. That's like if Bringing a Baby somehow inserted like a serial killer subplot.
It really does feel like that.
That is amazing. I had no idea. I always saw the cover of this movie and assumed it was like, oh, it's another It Happened One Night, or you know, no. Capra's way more interesting than I give him credit for, and I love Capra. But that is an absurd direction he took that movie in.
Well, it wasn't him, to be clear. It was based on a very popular play.
Right. Okay.
He shot it kind of quick and dirty because he wanted a guaranteed hit before he went off to join the army, which is why it's kind of ironic that it sat on the shelf for 2 years. And to be clear, it does have, you can tell it was based on a play. You can tell it was kind of knocked out quick. It's very stagey.
Yeah.
It's mostly set in one big room at the base of a house with people entering and exiting. But it's got this really great stuff. Lorre is like maybe giving his best performance in this. He's so funny.
Wow.
Grant is next level. It's just, I don't know. It's a good watch. It's a good time. I know Criterion just like last week, put it out on Blue. So I'm probably going to pick that up in the sale.
I might blind buy this movie now.
Yeah, I think it's out there. Give it a watch. If you like Capra comedy, if you like something like It Happened One Night, if you like Grant doing comedy, a movie this really reminded me of. It's not as good, but sorry, Arsenic is Old Ladies is not as good. But if you've seen Hawks's I Was a Male War Bride,
I have not,
which really gives Cary Grant like a lot of runway to be big and just really flex his comedic muscles. This feels very much of a piece with that. You should watch I Was a Male War Bride.
There's so many Hawks.
Hawks is a nightmare. Prioritize Male War Bride.
I mean, Monkey Business is what I was going to bring up. Like that movie.
I've never seen Monkey
Business. Him and Ginger Roberts are so.
I love her.
It's Roger so, like you were saying about the manic energy, it is so propulsive in that movie. And that's 1950s Hawk. Like he was in his mojo too. So like it's a wild one. And it might be his biggest budget comedy, I believe. It is big. There's a lot going on in that movie, but I'm just so happy that you brought a Frank Capra movie to this discussion. I didn't even consider that, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I do this thing that I've been doing for like 10 years where I watch something in the Criterion Collection every week. Mm-hmm. And I definitely watched this one because I knew it was I'm running out of horror movies.
I was going to say, like, there's not in the Criterion many horror movies.
There's more than you'd think.
For 10 years,
First 10 years. Yeah. And when I first started doing this thing, I don't think I really had a good sense that I was going to be doing it that long. So I just watched a lot of the horror movies in like the summertime.
Yeah. Which
was a bad idea. But I definitely watched this because I was like, oh, I knew it had like some serial killer element. And like I said, is it a horror movie? No, but it's such a Halloween movie. And I think that's just as important to squeeze into the season.
Absolutely.
That like autumnal winds blowing spookiness, like kind of spooky, scary fun of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it takes place in Brooklyn, right? So there's
it takes place in Brooklyn, and it's a real like Brooklyn is like the middle of nowhere provincial oddity thing, which is like, I think a cultural thing that has been lost. But, honestly, like as late as the late 90s, there's that joke about moving to Brooklyn and you've got mail is the same as moving across the country. But like, yeah, this is a very like Brooklyn is a strange no man's land where everyone's kind of insane type of movie, because why would you live in Brooklyn when you can live in Manhattan?
Right. Man. Yeah. I've got the Capra fiend again. I want to watch all of his films again.
Give this one a watch. This is one of his best movies, I think.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you found footage to Capra, so
yeah,
I'm so in awe. But I'm in the 90s now, man. I'm gonna go across seas to France. I was talking off mic a little about French. I love French extremity and French horror movement. I don't know when it kicked off. Do you know, like, when did the French start making reverse horror?
Like 2001.
Okay.
You have Besmois and you have Trouble Every Day.
Right. The Claire Denis.
Obviously, those are a bit artier, but I think most people cite that as the beginning, and then High Tension in like 2002. I want to say
High Tension really popularized it more.
Really, right? Pops this sense of like French is the new Splatterfest.
Mm-hmm. So maybe then I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe this doesn't count because this is 1990. But Baby Blood. Have you seen Baby Blood?
Love Baby Blood.
Baby Blood.
I almost cracked open my Blue, but I didn't get around to it this month.
It rules and kind of goes with the theme of a lot of French horror movies, which is pregnancy scare and the horror that comes along with molding a human being in your body. And I'm sure there's a lot of very annoying people that compare this like to Tan and Inside, which is a terrific film. But Baby Blood is so, first of all, it takes place over the course of 9 months. It's like an 82-minute movie, and it feels like the scope is massive. And even though it's very grounded, we're following just this woman as she sort of feasts on other men's blood, which already it is a major sell. Just capturing dudes, eating them to feed her unborn fetus, which is great. But also the fetus talks to her in this amazing sort of craggly, like cigarette smoking voice in her fetus, which is amazing. There's so much I love about this movie. Just the grittiness of it, like how the handheld cinematography is incredible. But my biggest question, like, would you categorize this as French extremity horror? Because it is, it's extremely gory and upsetting.
I wouldn't,
okay,
because of the time thing.
Yeah.
Is it a forebearer? I think clearly.
Yeah.
I think clearly it's kind of a thing you're looking at. I would be not shocked in the least if Maureen Bustillo said it was an influence on Inside.
Yeah.
Just because of that primal sense of like pregnancy is something almost unbearably grotesque to it, that this is inverted. It's just like one of the nastiest movies ever.
It is incredible. There's a scene in the kitchen.
Nauseating.
Do you remember the scene in the kitchen?
I haven't seen this like 10 years.
It's been a decade, but there's a scene where she it feels like straight out of like a Frank Henenlotter movie or something, where people are continually knocking on her door, and she just keeps letting people in and just murders them until there's like a stack of 3 bodies in her kitchen. And eventually she just I think someone finally finds the bodies and she just runs out. And it's a mix of just complete gore, but also like hilarious because of how the movie's really frenetic, like really, like so much happens. It's almost exhaustive. But yeah, like we were talking about the blob effects. The effects in this movie are pretty top notch for being. I'm not really familiar with the director, but this felt pretty bare bones overall.
To my knowledge, he never really did anything else of note.
Not really. Did you know? Okay, did you know there was a sequel that came out to this movie 10 years after with the same lead actress? Yeah,
Lady Blood. Oh my god.
Let me get the Lady Blood. Yes,
yeah. I have it right here. Oh my god, that's probably awful.
It is probably horrendous, and I'm surprised.
I'm gonna watch it.
I'm gonna watch it too, and the lead actress is terrific in the movie. I'm shocked she came back. That movie is such a definitive ending too. Like I don't.
Yeah, oh my god, it's so. I was like, how do you make a sequel to that? Wow, she's only made like those 2 movies and one other movie that she made before Baby Blood that she has a very small role in. Yeah, I've had Baby Blood on disc. Like I said, I watched it. No, probably had a decade, like 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Okay,
I've had it on disc for probably like a year and a half now, and I just haven't. I can watch some fucked up shit. I have not had the stomach to put Baby Blood back in, and I do think it's a great movie. It's just so gross. You know what I'm saying? And I think you're right in I think segmenting it with both New French Extremity, and I was also going to say if you did, of saying like something like Henenlotter or something like Usna or Gordon. I think that it's as much responding to those guys and this sense of like almost comically exaggerated splatterpunk on screens. Yes. But it's not, at least, I mean, you might disagree. I don't remember it being funny. You seem to think it was very funny. I remember it being like kind of like dreamlike and intense.
Do you remember she goes on a bus with a bunch of rugby dudes?
Yes.
And the bus driver gets sort of like, his face gets completely covered by the newborn monster, whatever it is.
I don't know. I should rewatch it and think about it as something funny. I don't know. Like I said, it's been too long. I have the disc. Maybe I'll watch it. I don't know. I'll watch it soon.
Yeah, the gore aspect is not what made me laugh. It's sort of just I mean, there's such an impending doom aspect of this movie too, where it's like the thing about pregnancy movies like that is like there's an end point. There's like a ticking time bomb for God knows what's going to happen. And then I think her decision making becomes a little bit skewed because of that. And she does so many rash things and treats everyone she meets like utter shit. So I find that hilarious. I find Henenlotter funny too. I don't know, like
Henenlotter's hilarious.
And this felt like the French version of that too. So I've been in that mindset, man. I don't know.
No. I mean, like I said, it's been very long. I should give it a rewatch, and I'll think about that when I rewatch it.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, what other? I know this isn't technically French Extremity, but do you have any other like recommendations in that genre?
Of like the splatter stuff? I mean, like I said, like I think watch Henenlotter. I think people like kind of ignore Brian Usna. in
do
a
not
way.
ignore Brian Usna.
Do not ignore Brian Usna. All his stuff's really exciting. Even the stuff that looks like it's going to be like dog shit.
The Dentist.
Like something like The Dentist. The Dentist is incredible.
By the way, I rewatched Tales from the Hood last night, and he is in one of the segments.
Oh my God, I haven't seen Tales from the Hood. A great movie, to be clear. I've not seen that in forever.
For sure. It was an upsetting rewatch, I got to say.
That is a movie that is way darker than you think it's going to be.
Yeah, than most any.
I love that movie.
Most any horror
if you want,
yeah.
But I'm going to say this. If you want good splatter, Terrifier 2 in theaters now. It's good.
Oh dear, is that your next? No.
Like I said, no new releases. I will say that I do think Terrifier 2 is quite good and also quite fun. And I find Damien Leone's earlier movies to be misogynistic and evil, and hateful movies. And this movie, if you were like me and you watched Terrifier or All Hallows Eve and you were like, this dude, there's something wrong with this guy, Terrifier 2 shakes that. Terrifier 2 has shaken that like sense of evil and sadism while ramping up the gore somehow. And I'm not saying it's like some beautiful feminist text. It's not. It's just a splatter movie, but it's not vile the way his other stuff was.
Okay.
That's my pro Terrifier 2.
It might upset you to know that it comes out in VOD November 1st, and I might just watch it on VOD.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. You know, I definitely will say I saw it with a bunch of teenagers who had definitely snuck in, and that was cool.
That's really cool. That's what I want to do. That sounds awesome. Yeah.
Down the row from me, there were definitely like 3 15-year-olds who were sharing 2 seats between them, like piled up on top of each other.
So your theater was full up then?
My theater was full.
That's exciting. That's a fun crowd.
Like 3 weeks into its release, and like clearly at the point where this had broken containment from, people who knew about Damien Leone beforehand to just the youths who, and I don't know, it's nice to know that like the teens are going to get their like gross, morally irresponsible movie, because we both grew up in like the torture porn era, right? Yeah. It's just nice to know that they have the opportunity to like do that like we did. I don't know. It makes me feel good. Which is weird. The Terrifier 2 makes me feel good.
I miss October's when subsequent Saw movies were being released.
Well, you saw that Tobin Bell's coming back for Saw 10, right?
Yeah. Nothing made me. That's the happiest news I've heard in all year, probably.
We know who's directing Saw 10?
I actually don't. Not Chris Rock, and I hope.
Chris Rock didn't direct the last one.
He did, didn't he?
No, he wrote it.
I'm sorry. It was.
Blah, 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 blah. I'm blanking on his name. The guy who made Saw 2, 3, and 4. And The Devil's Carnival and Repogenic Opera. A good director who I like. No, this is Kevin Gruder who did the last 3 Saws.
Did you do Saw 6?
He did 6, 7, and 8.
Darren Bousman is who we were thinking.
Yeah, Darren Bousman did Spiral.
You're right. I don't know why I thought Chris Rock.
Kevin Gruder edited all the Saw movies, including the first one.
Yeah.
And he directed 6, 7, and then a couple other movies. And this is kind of notable because he directed 7, but apparently 7 was like a really bad experience. Like this is the scuttlebutt I've heard that like he didn't really get to make the movie he wanted to make, and Lionsgate really interfered and like maybe took it away from him. So I think it's really interesting that he's coming back after all that.
Yeah, I mean, 6 might be my favorite.
6 is the best one.
Absolutely.
Easily. 6 Saw 6 is the best one.
It wasn't critically the most successful, right? That's maybe why 7 was meddled with so heavily.
Maybe. Yeah, it was also they really wanted it to be the last one. 7's the only one that's bad.
7 is like the only one that's in real poor taste, in my opinion. Like the torture is like absolutely just punishing and not as it doesn't have the excitement that the other ones do. It's like kind of incoherent.
Yeah. And I'm saying this is someone I like Spiral. I like Jigsaw.
Spiral's good too.
Yeah.
Jigsaw rules. That's the best. Third act of all the films. Yeah.
I will say this. I forgot. This was also, I knew there was a bit of this. I was misremembering. He did kind of have a bad experience on it, but I don't think it was so much that they were interfering as he didn't have enough time to work. Like
Yeah.
he was kind of stepping into a movie. This is the big one. He was supposed to do Paranormal Activity 2, and
Yeah, that's a big one.
Lionsgate pulled like a contractual trick
Mhm.
and like forced him to come into a movie that was already fairly well into pre-production. So he was legally forced to direct Saw 3D after someone else had already started working on Saw 3D.
He would have had 2 movies in October then, right? If he did
He didn't do Paranormal Activity 2.
If he would have.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't have done both of them.
Yeah.
That's why they pulled him. They had hired somebody else. They were working on it. They weren't liking it. They fired that guy. They forced Gritter back. He basically had to and it was just a bad shoot after that. And you never want to step onto somebody else's movie.
Absolutely
not. You can't really do anything. So
never.
Yeah. So I know he has said that was a bad experience for him. I apologize for misremembering the details.
That's okay. That's all right.
No.
Tobin Bell, do you think he's returning?
I'm hoping it's just flashbacks.
I was gonna say it must be not. It's probably a pretty minuscule role overall because that's
unless it's a reboot.
Unless it's a prequel of some sort, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
Anyway, my number 3.
Yeah. Go ahead.
My number 3 is Dream Demon, directed by Harley Cokless, who seems to mostly just be like a studio hack after it. It's from 1988. It's kind of this British riff on Nightmare on Elm Street.
Ooh.
It's about a woman, like a posh upper class British woman, who is about to marry a semi-famous war hero. And she starts having these incredibly upsetting and gory nightmares. And she kind of weirdly connects with an American tourist who feels drawn to the house that she's just moved into. And the two of them try to solve this mystery of what's going on in her dreams and why her dreams starting to affect the real world. And this is one of those movies that's too long at 86 minutes, which is not great. It has a pretty obvious twist that you're sitting there waiting for the movie to get to. But these dream sequences are so gory and disturbing, and just the effects are incredible. And it's just such a weird, odd watch of a movie. Like I said, as this thing that has kind of light Hellraiser vibes to it, in that sense of this quiet rot in these old English houses. One of Timothy Spall's first performances, I believe. It's a few years before Life is Sweet. So Mike Leigh has not yet established himself or Tim Spall, but Tim Spall plays a tabloid journalist who's stalking this woman. I don't know if you can vibe with something that's semi-incoherent and oddly paced, but has these really just striking moments of terror. I really think this one's special. It's on the Criterion Channel right now. They stuck it in, I believe, as their 80s horror block, which is really good, by the way.
Fantastic.
Their 70s horror block was kind of whatever. It was kind of obvious. Their 80s horror block is all these. It's the stuff you'd expect, but it's also weird, interesting things. This is there. There's an Arrow Blu-ray. The transfer looks great. I think this is a fun, weird. It stars Gemma Redgrave, who's Vanessa's cousin, I wanted to say. She's of the Redgrave family.
Okay.
Cousin, not Vanessa's cousin. Oh my God, Liam Neeson's wife. Patty Hearst.
Patty Hearst. There you go.
Natasha Richardson's cousin. Vanessa's up there somewhere.
Okay.
But it's a very British movie. I like dream stuff. I like nightmares. This movie starts with her slapping a dude and decapitating him, and just a torrent of blood pouring out of his neck. It's not stagey art horror. It's an intense nightmare logic movie.
That makes me so happy that Timothy Spall's in that, by the way. One of the most British.
I know he's your guy.
He's my guy. Mike Leigh. Life is Sweet's one of my favorite films ever.
You told me to watch that years ago, and I just
did. I really?
To it. Oh yeah,
I'm so happy. I've been championing it for so long.
We were all in that group chat that one time, and we all made like lists for everyone else.
That was one of them.
You put that on for me. I just never got around. I didn't get around to most of those movies.
I'm so proud of myself. Like Lee's one of my guys. And,
yeah. I saw Naked for the first time earlier this year. That movie's extraordinary.
Yeah,
Life is Sweet is very good. Yeah. It's such an experiential movie. You know, I don't really want to say too much about it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was looking at that filmmaker's career post that movie. It's pretty bizarre. Like he did a movie with Tommy Lee Jones and Linda Hamilton that I saw when I was a lot younger, and it is straight just genre trash. And he kind of what we were saying about the the Blob director Chuck Russell kind of just veered off into just a really weird kind of working with stars and making trash movies sort of route. But yeah,
this guy did like one of the TV movies that turns into the Kevin Sorbo Hercules TV show. Like he's a real like journeyman type.
Mm-hmm.
And this really does feel like let's do a British Nightmare on Elm Street in a way.
Yeah.
Not that there's like a killer in haunting the dreams, but that dreaming is the source, the sense of like horrific dreams that impact reality.
And look, that's one of my favorite sub genres of horror. So
yeah, I think this one's really fun. Yeah, cool. I really enjoyed it.
I will seek it out. I want to see The Arrow because I'm sure that transfer is.
I believe it's incredible. The transfer that's on the Criterion channel right now. So.
Okay, cool.
And it looks great. Cool. I would be shocked if there were 2 good transfers of this movie floating around. Is all I'm going to say. Okay. I don't know for certain, but
Yeah. The Arrow does a fantastic job usually.
Great company.
My number 2, sort of a pun on my number 2 because it's P2, which I requested Cole to watch. This is such a me movie that I would have adored when I was 13 because there's just the survival horror is something I really would go for back in the day. Maybe it was my developing brain, the simplicity of that, because it's comforting. I don't know. It's like Alexander Aja co-wrote this film with Frank Calhoun is the director.
So. I believe so. Yeah,
I don't want to.
He is. I think that's how you say his name.
I don't want to butcher a French name, So I don't. But he went on to do Maniac, which is I love the remake of Maniac with Elijah Wood, which is a very inventive horror film in my opinion. But this was I believe his debut. Alexander Aja, whom I love, who we mentioned French Extremity, and he did High Tension. And this movie, very simple premise about just this high-strung businesswoman gets trapped in a parking garage with Wes Bentley, and that's the movie. And he's a stalkerish, lonely incel man, and and like you were saying off mic, I think you said it wasn't what you expected, because it's much more of their duality and their kind of like the geography of this entire parking garage and parking structure, which it sounds really ridiculous, but I think that's just a really great, lesser seen location for a horror film. I don't know. I think we all get freaked out by parking structures. Yeah, I know I do. So.
Yeah, I think the thing that because I mean, I remember when this movie came out. I had never seen it. I watched it yesterday. Mm-hmm. I don't think it as much. I like it as much as you do. I think the first half is kind of like a slow burn torture movie. Yeah. And then it shifts into this like cat and mouse survival thing. And that second half didn't really click so much for me. But I was going to say this movie came out 15 years ago. I remember when it came out. I don't know why, but I was just struck by how violent it was. And I probably should have assumed that because I've seen other Frank Calhoun movies and I've seen other Aja movies. Right. But I think I just assumed that this was kind of like a semi-tepid, more thriller-esque, studio movie. And it's not it's not like wall-to-wall gore. But when it gets bloody, it's nasty and it's mean. And it really does feel like that even if it's only like a quarter, like 25% of that French tension.
Yeah.
Seeping through. It really does. It feels like an American response to the new French extremity in a way that I think sometimes people say like Hostel is, but Hostel is such a different energy to it.
Yeah.
And this feels new French extremity. I will say though, not to be a bit of a negative Nancy, and this is just something I thought
That's okay.
as I was watching this movie, because it's something else I thought when I was watching Terrifier 2. Is there's something very grotesque, I think, about the ways that both Terrifier 2 and P2 go out of their way to put their lead actress in an outfit that shows off a lot of cleavage. Because in this case, the stalker changes her from like business wear to like a very low cut party dress. And it's just a cheap way to get some sex into the movie as she's like crawling around this garage and getting beaten. And Terrifier 2 does the same thing, where it puts its lead in this monumentally skimpy Halloween costume for its entire second half. And like, I am by no means, there's definitely a place for like sex and sexuality and eroticism and horror, but P2 is not an erotic movie. It feels so pointed that like, I don't know, if it was something sleazier, if it was like a character was dressed like this in like the new Hellraiser, well, in a world where the new Hellraiser was also a more erotic film, which it's not. I think that's his big weakness. I would be like, sure, but in something that's just about the brutality, it just feels cheap to me. I don't know. Just a thought I had.
Also,
but a good movie, a movie I definitely great to see Wes Bentley like getting to just be a creep.
The greatest time of his life in a movie. Yeah, he was having a ball.
Have you listened to those really long Empire podcast interviews with Christopher McQuarrie?
No, I've been told to. I remember
because Wes Bentley shows up for like 2 minutes at the end of
MI7
Fallout.
Yeah.
I remember they asked him like, why'd you cast Wes Bentley? Isn't it kind of confusing to have someone that big, even if he's not a huge star, someone that big show up for what's basically a cameo at like the most tense part of your movie? And McQuarrie said something that has always stuck with me whenever I think about Wes Bentley, which is that character has very little screen time, and we basically had a morning to shoot his scenes, but everything that character says and reacts in every shot he's in is incredibly important for the arc. And you need you need someone like Wes Bentley who can pull it off in 2 seconds. And that's all I ever think of whenever I think of Wes Bentley. And it's true. He's like quietly one of our best working character actors. And he's incredible in this thing. He's so scary.
Look, I'll defend P2 a little bit here. I don't love the movie.
Quite liked it.
Yeah, and mostly my stance and why I even brought it up in the first place, because it's downright like more of a forgettable one that I watched this month. But it's the factor of just the framing device. Just a cat and mouse thriller is so cut and dry and like very easy to produce. It's such an easily marketable thing, right? But I don't know. It's like it's always been on my list because I just knew it'd be a comforting watch, because I just love that subgenre of horror. And
yeah, that's a good way to put it. And that's kind of how I felt watching it yesterday, definitely.
Yeah, and two people just flex their muscle. I don't know the lead actress as well, Rachel Nichols, but
I do not. I mean, I've seen her in things. I believe she's mostly a TV actress.
Sure, that makes sense. And I don't know.
I do not watch much contemporary TV. It looks like she was on Criminal Minds and Continuum.
There you go.
But I've certainly seen her in movies. I'm sure everyone has. She's in the Star Trek movies. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, like this felt like a movie I would rent from Blockbuster in like 2007.
Well, it literally is.
And yeah, and would just have an absolute ball, watching this late at night. So that it kind of fit into that.
100%.
It fit into what we were saying earlier. So I just thought I had to bring it up. And
for sure.
Yeah. And the cover is just beautiful in my opinion. I just love to see a woman with an axe, and just sort of the title is a little lazily it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, to be honest. But
well, it's the level of the
it's the
parking
level
garage.
that there's.
I think it's a good title.
It's fun. It's fun. I think it's just misleading because people would just immediately question what they're talking about. But
I think you see it all over the movie. I think it makes sense.
That's true. But yeah, that's number 2, P2. It's very fitting. You're on 2, right?
My number 2. I'm going to take this all the way back to the 30s. It's one of, I believe, technically the last pre-code films. It's Edgar Ulmer's The Black Cat.
Oh, I love Ulmer so much.
Yeah. Have you seen this one?
Not The Black Cat, no.
This is, I believe, the first Karloff Lugosi collab.
Oh, nice.
It's ostensibly based on the Edgar Allan Poe short story, The Black Cat. It is not. It is not in any way based on that. What it really is like a nightmarish riff on Wales, the Old Dark House, where 2 people get stranded in this like decrepit mansion overseen by Boris Karloff, who's like an acclaimed architect who maybe did some war crimes in World War I, and is also definitely a Satanist who is like trying to do evil things and has like a chamber full of women he has preserved in like early like magical sleep, basically, to use alternatively as sex slaves and as sacrifices. And Lugosi is this like doctor who's come to like get revenge on him, both for stealing his wife and for like doing war crimes to Lugosi. It is kind of incoherent, I'm not gonna lie, but it's like an hour long. It's so intense. It's way more graphic and violent. Like you can see them like this last flash of just like pure, just grotesque, tasteless horror of you for Universal right before the code kind of clamps them all down.
This is pre-coded. This is a pre-coded.
Yeah, but this is 34, so this has got to be the last ones to.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's like, there is shit that happens in this movie that like, even if it's just suggested, the climax of this movie is mind blowing to see in something from the 30s, and it's great. It's probably Lugosi's best performance, I think.
Wow.
It does have a total wet blanket of a lead couple who are mostly just there to watch all these depravities. But it's one of Ulmer's best movies, and it's one of the best movies of the early pre-code Universal horror cycle.
Amazing.
And if you want something short and sweet, because it's an hour long.
Yeah.
I was blown away by this thing.
I was going to say, because Ulmer might be the king of 60-minute movies, because he directed Detour, which is
a classic, another
one of the best of that decade. And
Detour's later. Detour's in the 40s.
It's the 40s, yeah. But
is
there any relation to I know there's so many iterations of the Black Cat, so I've always been sort of daunted, because I know Fulci did one.
I think everyone is loosely pulling from this Poe short story.
The Poe short, yeah.
But this one in particular is no association whatsoever to the Poe short story.
Okay.
Black Cats do factor in to the plot. I kind of don't want to say how, because it's not so much that it's a particularly plot relevant thing as it is clearly something they put in the movie to justify calling it the Black Cat, but it's also depraved. It's like it's shockingly grotesque, the cat stuff that happens in this movie. I don't know. This movie is just like satanic fever dream of like, how much can we get through with the contemporary censors at the time?
Right. That's a lot of fun.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. And
recommended for everyone.
Absolutely. And Ulmer is such a great filmmaker.
He's such a great.
And silly question, but to rank the cat movies, would you choose that?
I don't think I've seen enough of them.
What about Jacques Tournier's Cat People? An all-time classic.
Cat People is better. Cat People is
Okay.
a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like, I love Cat People. This movie's terrific. Very few movies are as good as Cat People.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Nothing beats it. Jacques Tourneur. The Schrader. That movie's is a loose remake off Cat People. Have you seen the Schrader version?
Yeah, I've seen it twice. I don't think it's very good. It is a loose remake of Cat People that is very interested in doing its own thing and also really feels the need to like stop dead in its tracks and do like literal recreations of the most famous stuff from the original every so often. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not huge on the Schrader Cat People.
Nastasia Kinski is basically a stand-in for what's her name?
Simone.
Simone.
Yeah. In the direct analogy, but the Schrader Cat People is more interested in the like alluded to mythology that this is like a genetic thing that everyone from her race has.
Yeah.
And it's much more of a like mating and killing type thing.
Okay.
It's a strange movie. I don't think it works.
He's your guy though. I'm shocked. He's
not my guy. I like Paul Schrader. He's not my guy.
I don't know if you watch I think you watch him every Sunday, don't you?
I'm working my way through every Paul Schrader movie, though I've taken Halloween off.
Oh, but what's on tap for the next Tuesday or next Sunday?
I got to do Affliction, which is such a boring movie. I don't like Affliction. I don't like.
I haven't seen Affliction yet, but
it's boring.
I've heard Nolte's spectacular in it. For a Schrader movie, it's like
Light Sleeper is his best movie.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, Light Sleeper.
I thought you'd say Card Counter. But
Card Counter is also incredible. What's your number one?
I know. Okay, so we mentioned Alice Sweet Alice. I don't know if I have anything to really add. I'm sorry I made you watch that movie, but
no, it's fine.
I really don't know if I have any. Unless you have any threads you want to go on about that movie, I don't really.
I don't really think Alice Sweet Alice is all that good. It doesn't really click for me. I think Paula Shepherd's incredible in it.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I mean, do you think it's exploitative of Italian horror? Is that where the bad taste comes in, or you just think it's
no? I just don't think it's very good. I just think it's kind of boring.
Okay.
I think you can get a better version of that coming out of Italy from like any C-lister. It's kind of like an inert American giallo that has a great lead performance, but can't really square the circle with the Catholicism stuff. That's my take on it. I know a lot of people really respond well to it.
I did, and I saw it on the big screen in 35, so maybe that's why.
That might help,
because the print is gorgeous, and it's like you're just transported to the 70s and seeing those Catholic allegories. You're like, this is so inspired by all these movies I love. So it was kind of like, I don't know, I really responded to it, but that's really all I have to say. So I'm gonna just pass. I'm gonna go for. I'm going back to the 80s, but whatever. So I always pick a movie that is just downright embarrassing that I haven't seen yet in October. And that, I mean, you could have said Eaten Alive or other ones like The Blob, but it was Child's Play, the original Child's Play. I had never seen before. I had seen like bits and pieces growing up, of course, like you see it on AMC or whatever. Like the sequels and stuff. And embarrassingly, I think I've seen Seed of Chucky in its entirety, but never the original Tom Holland movie. But it is not only a perfect serial killer slasher film, but I think just a perfect Chicago family drama, which I was shocked by.
Great Chicago movie.
It is a fantastic might be the best movie shot in Chicago in the 80s, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of contenders there, but it captures the grimy winter feel that I think is so prevalent when you lived in Chicago for many years. Mm-hmm. It's that sleety, wet, disgusting feel of it all, and that's just a cherry on top of this movie, because it is You love this film, right? I think you.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. It's a
one of
great
your
movie. I love Tom Holland, who also made
Fright Night.
Fright Night. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love Brad Dourif. Brad Dourif is like quietly maybe my favorite actor. Chris Sarandon, quietly also one of my favorite actors.
Nice.
It's so legitimately scary. I think the thing terrifying. People don't talk is like lost to history with the Chucky movies getting weirder and gayer, and that's all stuff I also really like about the Chucky movies. That they're the gayest horror franchise.
Yeah.
But I think as much as there's this like irreverence and fun and anarchic spirit to the later ones, I think people just forget just how legitimately bone chilling this goddamn Killer Doll movie is.
Yeah. And I was just fairly depressed that I didn't watch this movie as a youth, because the way this family gets manipulated and torn apart by a seemingly like, not on the surface, not a really terrifying threat. But then as the movie progresses, he just toes the line so perfectly of just this emotionality of what's going on, but also just genuinely upsetting psychologically. And of course on the surface with Chucky, but yeah, I think a perfect horror movie that doesn't, I mean, people, I haven't seen the second Child's Play, but some people have had the dubious take that that's better, and I just can't see that being a possibility, because that's like, it's one of the best.
No, Child's Play 2 is fine. And then I think Child's Play 2 is fine, but it's nowhere near as good as the first one. And then I think once you hit Seed on, so Seed, Curse, and Cult, then you're in this whole other just like off the chain Mancini losing his mind, just putting every idea he has. That's a completely different beast. Those later ones are so much fun though. I need to watch the TV show.
I'm intrigued by that. Did you see it was the remake that came out 2 years ago?
I refuse to see the remake because it is so shitty to do that to Don Mancini when he's trying to get a TV show off the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he had no involvement, correct?
He had no involvement. It's literally one of those things where the rights like coexist, where he has the rights to Chucky, but Warner Brothers can remake just Child's Play. Like, I don't think even if that movie was a hit, I don't think they could make a sequel. But the fact that if he had been like, I've given up, no one will let me make Chucky stuff, and then someone came up with a remake, whatever. But the fact that this was like, he was in development on the TV show, that Dourif was involved, that Fiona was involved, that Jennifer Tilly was involved. Like the fact that it's this weird ersatz family of people who like to do the late period Chucky stuff. And then Warner's comes through and is like, we're remaking it with a much higher budget with bigger stars. Is just shitty. And I mean, history vindicated that movie flopped and that TV show does very well for itself and everyone really likes it. But even if it had looked good, which it didn't, I found it very grotesque to be doing that. Because I don't know if you're saying this, but like Mancini is like this really interesting artist who puts a lot of really interesting stuff into the Child's Play movies and, makes them very personal and weird and very gay. And that is more interesting to me than the idea of, Chucky as just a sheer icon is, Chucky is Mancini's, vehicle for his stuff. And that's why I should really watch the show. But that first movie is just next level good. Next level good.
Yeah. And looks incredible. I totally forgot Bill Butler shot this film. We shot Jaws and The Conversation, which is insane. And it just looks fantastic. And all around, maybe the highlight of the month for me. And
partly, any month, really.
Partly because of the embarrassment that I hadn't seen it in its entirety. And I'm dying to watch the sequels, but also Fright Night, because Tom Holland's just
have you seen Fright Night?
No.
Fright Night is
I've seen the remake.
Like one of the 10 best movies of the 80s in any genre.
Really?
Truly.
As good as Child's Play? Better than
Child's Play?
Holy shit.
Yeah, top 10 any genre of that decade.
Wow.
Fright Night is a very special movie.
I could tell. I mean, do you loathe the remake? Do you like the remake?
I hate the remake. I should rewatch it. I know people really like it. I hate it.
It's very silly.
But maybe I just
remember.
hated it because I was like so protective of the original. And that's a dumb
Sure.
way to think about things.
I mean, that's fine. I'm gonna keep it pure.
And I think I've broken that mold in my brain.
Okay, yeah. I'll make Friday night a priority. I'm very
yeah, you'd like it.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I loved it, and I'm glad that you share my enthusiasm for it, because not a few people were just kind of sour on the original Child's Play. Like, it didn't age well. It's very of its time, but hasn't aged a day in my eyes. So, yeah, that's number one. And Alice, Sweet Alice is 1B, I guess.
All right.
Touched on it. So what's yours?
My number one, I watched this like right at the very beginning of the month. Actually, I think I watched this and Black Cat back to back, so I kind of peaked early.
Yeah.
My number one is Evil Dead Trap by Toshiharu Ikeda. Have you seen Evil Dead Trap?
No, but it looks incredible.
Oh, so Evil Dead Trap, Japanese horror movie, feels very in place, more so than anything, with the sort of like late jolly that you'd get in the 80s.
Yeah.
Once like slasher movies are fully entrenched, and like you've got these Italian filmmakers trying to figure out like, what do we do now? Like, it reminds me of like in a lot of ways. And so like in a way they're still making jolly, but they're getting more gonzo, they're getting more grotesque with it. It becomes less about the purity of the like black gloves and the razor blade and more about these like just demented, insane images. And this feels like that getting filtered into this like Japanese riff on something like Opera or Demons or you know, all those good late period ones. It's about a TV crew that finds a snuff film and try to go track down the location where the snuff film was shot. And end up in this like abandoned, I believe it's like an abandoned American military base that they like creep around in, and one by one, this crew gets murdered or kidnapped and put into these like, the snuff film setups are very like proto Jigsaw things, where they're like elaborate mechanical devices that are going to run on their own and like brutally kill people in front of the camera. And it's so interesting because you see this like response to what's coming out of Europe and what's coming out of America in a way that's a slasher movie, but it also so presages a lot of what I think we're going to think of as being key to Japanese horror. And not that it's like a movie about a curse, but this sense that it takes place in these like desolate, abandoned urban spaces where you never know what's around the corner, and technology is somehow this sense of sort of evil that that like is inflicting like these mediated forms of violence back onto society. Like, you see, like this is not a ghost story, right? This is a slasher film, but you see the roots of what's going to become Ringu or Pulse or the Ju-on movies. These like that slow pace, that industrial dread, that the technology is the center of evil, this sort of just like stark, inexplicable images, but mixed into this gonzo splatter movie that's so fun and so manic. And I'm also going to say, like, there was an American horror movie that came out somewhat recently that was very weird and very gonzo, and everyone was like, oh my God, like, what do we do with this? And everyone was like reaching and trying to like figure out what the cultural touchstones this movie I'm pointedly not naming is referencing.
I know, we could do
and
the
I'm going to say this,
the math.
This movie is clearly lifting every idea it has from Evil Dead Trap. And I can tell you off mic if you'd like, but I don't want to say it on mic. It's just, oh my God, it's so incredible. A Blu-ray just came out. I'm really excited to get it.
Oh, cool.
I also watched, I did not like this as much. I know a lot of people do prefer it.
Ringu.
I also watched Evil Dead Trap 2.
There's a sequel?
There are three, but they're sequels in name only, right? But I watched the first sequel, which is much more of a ghost story and is much more of a like weird dream logic nightmare thing about a woman wandering a city and like a serial killer maybe hunting her and a ghost trying to warn her. I'm just mentioning that because I quite like this one. Oh, speaking of things this Evil Dead Trap does, it's called Evil Dead Trap. I think part of the reason why they called it Evil Dead Trap is because it has like, it basically lifts the Raimi cam from Evil Dead. As like POV shots of the killer are often shot in that like manic thing, but they're doing it differently, obviously. And it very much feels like, oh, is this where Shinya Tsukamoto got his jump cut? Are you familiar with Shinya Tsukamoto at all? Have you seen Tetsuo the Iron Man?
Yeah.
The like Shinya Tsukamoto's like jump cut POV, like rattling down the street shots.
Right.
Like this feels like the natural middle step between Evil Dead Raimi cam and Shinya Tsukamoto's version of that.
Oh, that's
like
so cool.
You just see so much of what's going to happen in the next 20 years of Japanese horror in this movie that is also in and of itself just extraordinary and full of horrifying, grotesque murders and beautiful shots. And I love it. Yeah, easily the best thing I saw this month.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Pulse and because what you described it like really reminded me of Kaiushi Kurosawa movies and like
clearly an influence.
Yeah, Takashi Miike even in some regards. And you know what's funny? I heard
this is
about
88. I should stress this is 1988.
Yeah. So that predates all of the
that's what I'm saying.
We're talking about. That's awesome. And like I had heard about that movie. Funny enough, when I saw Alice Sweet Alice, I was sharing a smoke with a stranger, and we just got into Japanese horror, and she's like, by far the most underappreciated and best Japanese horror movies is Evil Dead Trap. So
it's up there, and I'm hoping. I mean, the Blu-ray is from Unearthed Films, so I don't know if it's going to get as much of attention as if it were maybe a more prestigious organization. But
yeah.
It's out there. The transfer in Amazon Prime looks really great. I'm really excited to get this disc and look at it and check out the second one. The third one is also, again, a sequel in name only. It's by Ikeda, who did not do the second one. I don't think it's available in the United States. It sounds like even more of a Dream Logic pseudo drama thing.
Sure. Yeah. Well, cool, man. I mean,
this movie's wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds like my type of shit. Like,
yeah, I think you'd like
aggressively.
It.
So I will rent that, or maybe
it's on Prime right now.
Oh, it's on Prime for free. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I watched it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of, you were talking about Blu-ray companies. Like, do you dip into like Severin, or do you like the Vinegar Syndrome and all that stuff?
Oh yeah, I have stuff from I have a problem. I think I have stuff from every big company except probably Unearthed.
I haven't heard of.
They don't love
I've
Unearthed.
Never heard of Unearthed. Like, what have they?
Their big thing is real extreme horror.
Okay.
Like, just pulling up their stuff. I just found out. I don't know if you've ever heard of the movie The Profane Exhibit.
No.
The Profane Exhibit is like an extreme horror anthology film that entered production in 2012 and never got completed and is now finished and coming out. And one of the directors died 3 years ago. Two of the directors, if you count the fact that they cut Coffin Joe's film from the final release. But it's like Ruggero Deodato and Anthony de Blasi and Uwe Boll and Ryan Stevenson, who passed away, unfortunately, who made Gutter Balls. But it's just this mythical splatter film that I was like, this is not a real movie. Because like for 10 years, it was just never finished. But Unearthed finished it. Let's see what else. I'm just pulling up their catalog. They did the American Guinea Pig films, the guinea pig movies.
No.
They put out a Serbian film.
Oh, okay.
They put out The Untold Story, that Chinese cannibalism movie.
Yeah, I can get there.
Chinese, which is very good. I think they did the Lucifer Valentine movies back in the day, which Lucifer probably not. I don't want to accuse anyone of maybe propping up someone bad, but I think we've all heard Lucifer Valentine stories, and I just heard some bad Lucifer Valentine stories last week. But like I said, they mostly do real deal, like extreme horror torture stuff.
Okay. Because like Severin has done like, they've dipped in like Joe D'Amato and people like that, Umberto Lenzi and all those guys. So like that sounds even more like sort of
this is like
down the rabbit hole. Yeah.
real head stuff. Obviously, not everything they've done is like that. I think Evil Dead Trap is certainly very gory and very violent. I don't think you need to be able to like stomach an August Underground or a Serbian film to handle this. Like when I say extreme horror, this is not extreme horror. Extreme horror is a specific, a very specific thing.
Yeah.
It is not all that Unearth puts out. I would say it is their bread and butter. Got it. And God bless them. Don't work with Lucifer Valentine. Shit's out there. Bad dude. Allegedly. Allegedly, I should say.
That's all right.
But they put out a lot of Ryan Nicholson films. I really like Ryan Nicholson stuff. It was very sad they got it. I don't know if you've ever seen Gutterballs.
No, that's an A+ title.
Yeah, that movie's rough. That movie's brutal. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like I said, I feel like all these Blu-ray distributors, like they have their niche, but they'll all, like, it's not like everything Severin puts out is 70s softcore.
No.
Or it's not like everything Vinegar Syndrome puts out is a direct-to-video movie from the late 80s and early 90s.
Mm-hmm. They have their exceptions. Like Severin did Out of the Blue, which was not...
Severin did Out of the Blue. Yeah.
Which is...
Severin was going to do Drop Dead Fred, and then they lost the rights, and then Vinegar Syndrome did it for them.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, which is a weird movie for both those companies to put out, but like Severin just put out the Changeling on 4K. The rumor I have heard is that David Gregory, who runs Severin loves Drop Dead Fred.
Good for him.
Really just wanted to have it in a nice edition. And that the rumor I've heard is that when they lost the rights, that them losing the rights was kind of personal. Like the rumor I've heard is that Universal pulled the rights because they were mad at Severin specifically. And that the rumor I've heard is that Vinegar Syndrome then put it out basically as like a show of good faith to be like, we're friendly. The guys who run Vinegar Syndrome, the guys who run Severin are very friendly. Unlike the guys who run Vinegar Syndrome and the guys who run Synapse. But they basically were like, we know this is important to you. We will put it out for you.
Okay. Got it.
So that's what I've heard. That's why, because it's a weird movie for both them to have.
Yeah, definitely.
I love Severin. I really need to get
Severin's great.
Yeah. Have you gotten their folk horror set?
No, I haven't got any Severin sets. I want to get
the sets. The sets, I think for Severin, I know they're pricey, but the big expensive Severin box sets are their best releases.
Okay, cool.
And I think if you can afford it, they're worth blind buying because there's this like education that you get from how they're programmed.
Do they do an annual sale? I think Vinegar Syndrome has one. I don't know if Severin does.
Vinegar Syndrome does Black Friday and halfway to Black Friday. Severin does Black Friday and sometime in July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
But do you want to go on to the game I created for you now?
Sure. If we can wrap. Yeah. Let's blow through this though.
Yeah. Sorry. We've been going a long time. I think
the Cole Bradley guarantee is that if I come on your podcast, it's going to be a long episode.
We'll hit the 3-hour mark. Yeah. No, this.
I don't think I can go for 45 more minutes, but
no, this should take probably like under 20 to 30 tops. So there's only 10 questions.
Okay.
So basically, you just have to guess the movie.
Love games. I love games. I'm very excited.
That's why I wanted to.
I just looked at the clock and I was like, "Oh my god."
Okay. Yeah. Yep. So basically, you just have to guess the movie.
Okay.
But so the structure will be: there are 4 hints that can be revealed to you. The first hint is, I will give you the year and the subgenre of said horror movie.
Okay.
The second is a director-centric hint. The third is actor. And the
An
fourth,
actor who's in it or an actor-centric hint?
an actor who's either in it or related somehow to this film.
Okay.
There's no tricks. There's no trick questions involved.
Sure.
And the fourth is miscellaneous. So
Okay.
that could
Is
be.
there any collective logic to these 10 movies?
They're all horror. They're all
But
horror.
beyond
movies.
that, there's nothing connecting them. You just picked 10 horror.
No,
movies.
I just picked 10 horror movies that
Okay.
would work best for this game. So like,
Sounds good. I got you. Okay.
I think you're gonna blow through a lot of these.
But it wasn't like, oh, they're all the same studio or
No. I didn't
Gotcha.
think that deeply. I probably should.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I just wanted to know how I should be thinking about this.
Okay. So just a
I'm excited.
reminder.
Let's go.
Yeah, year, subgenre, director, actor, or miscellaneous. So so the first one, yeah, what do you want? What hit do you want for that one?
Oh, do I only get one for each?
No, so okay, I should have explained. You'll reveal the hint. If you get it wrong, you can reveal another one.
Okay.
If you get it wrong, then the third hint. If you get that wrong, the fourth hint. So it's like unraveling slowly.
Let me get year subgenre.
Okay, so for the first one is 2011, and the subgenre is fantasy horror.
2011 fantasy horror. Is it Black Death?
It is not.
Damn, that's a good movie. Chris Smith, Eddie Redmayne.
Oh, Chris Smith rules. Yeah,
Chris Smith rules.
He rules.
And Sean Bean, obviously. That was the first time I saw Eddie Redmayne in anything. He's really good in that movie. Okay, wow. 2011 fantasy horror.
And you could reveal a new hint too if you want.
Horror. Can I have the actors? Whatever the actor thing is.
Okay, so the actor hint. So one of the stars of this film is a frequent collaborator with Miss Sofia Coppola.
Okay.
Lead actress of the film.
Yeah, it's not Melancholia.
No.
Okay, Kirsten Dunst. It's got to be Kiki, right? You said lead actress.
I will say it's not Kiki.
It's not Kiki?
No.
Who else is a frequent collaborator with Sofia Coppola? Okay, hold on. Let me just run through the Sofia movies. I cannot think of an actress who's in other. Oh, Elle Fanning in 2011.
It's Elle.
It's Elle. Okay, yeah. I forgot that she was in The Beguiled.
Yeah.
Elle Fanning 2011. Is it Super 8?
It is not.
Okay, give me director.
Director. The director of this film had a film that won a Palme d'Or at Cannes some time ago.
Oh.
She's a very celebrated filmmaker.
Sorry, you said she or he?
He won a Palme d'Or.
Okay, I thought you said she. I was like, Jane.
Oh, no.
No. Okay, let me just run through and think who made a movie in 2011. Can I ask, did this actually come out in 2011 or is this a festival 2012 release?
That's a good question.
Because I tend to always think of when it came out in the States.
Let me do some quick research for that.
Okay, you do that while I think to myself, it's not Ruben Östlund. It's not.
It's a 2012
Ducournau.
2012 release date.
Okay, it's not Ruben Östlund. It's not Julia Ducournau. It's not Bong Joon-ho because he did not have an American movie come out before 2013. He's never worked with Elle Fanning. It's not Koreeda. We just said it's not Ruben Östlund. Is it Ken Loach? Table Ken Loach. It's not Desplechin. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. But the guy
has Ken Loach made a horror movie before?
That's what I was saying. But you know what? He could have.
Let me help you out. This Palme d'Or was way before the time you're thinking.
Okay. God, can I get a decade?
Can I could give you the last hint.
Oh no! It's Twixt. Yeah. It's Twixt. It's Twixt. Yeah, it's Twixt. It's Twixt. It's Twixt. He won 2. You should have said he won 2. It's Twixt. Twixt rules. Okay, so you're thinking of stuff like Twixt.
Yep.
I think Twixt maybe didn't actually get a proper release until 2013. I might be wrong about that.
Okay,
I might be wrong.
2012 adjacent. I should have said.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just telling you. You are welcome to give me the IMDb year. I'm just telling you how I.
Okay,
think.
that's
Twixt
how
is so good.
Twixt is so great.
Yeah.
That one really worked for the game too because there's so many different.
Oh yeah, no, that's fun.
You can make.
Oh my God, that's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, next movie. Year and genre, please.
So we got 1995, and the subgenre is fantasy horror again. And I will say this is a very broad fan. It is like one aspect.
Are you going off like what IMDb lists, or did you come?
It's my personal.
Okay.
I think you
director hint, please.
Okay, so the director of this film has also published a comic with Marvel, in addition to numerous other comic strips that he's widely celebrated for. The director.
Interesting. It's not Spawn. He didn't direct Spawn.
No,
McFarlane did not direct Spawn. So
no,
it's not Spawn. I was just thinking, in the mid 90s, had published a book with Marvel, it would go on to publish a book with Marvel.
I believe it was. Oh shit! I should know that. I'm not sure.
Okay. Actors, please.
Okay, so a lead of this film is also responsible for playing an iteration of one of the most iconic female superheroes of all time, the lead actress.
The lead actress, iconic female superheroes.
This one's a lot more broad. So if you have any questions about the,
I'm just thinking. It's not Brie Larson.
No,
it's not.
This is 95.
Yeah, I know. It's not Brie Larson. It's not Gal Gadot. Is it Michelle Pfeiffer?
No.
Okay. Is it whoever played Wonder Woman on the TV show, whose name I'm blanking on right now?
No.
No, iconic female superhero. I need the miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous
You stumped me.
I know this one, but I'm not proud of the hints I made for this one.
No. I'm sure these are great hints.
So the miscellaneous this is the final feature from this filmmaker, and he made only 3 movies.
Is it Lord of Illusion?
Yep.
Oh my God, we were talking about it off mic.
Yeah. Which funny enough.
God, of course, Barker definitely. I should have thought Barker doing comics.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, who's the female lead in Lord of Illusion? I'm blank. It's been 10 years.
Famke Janssen.
Famke Janssen, of course. Of course.
And that's I wasn't sure if most people consider Jean Grey as like
no, you're
one of the most
right.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years since I've seen it. Those were actually very good hints.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Great. So the next one, we got 1961.
Okay.
And this is Supernatural.
Is it Night Tide?
It is not Night Tide. I love that film, though.
Good.
That is such a good movie. Director?
Yeah, please.
So the director of this film adapted one of the most celebrated American novels in the year 1974.
74 American novel, and he made a horror movie in 61.
Yes.
74. Actor, please.
So the lead actress once starred in 2 of the most celebrated movies of the 40s, one of which won Best Cinematography at the Oscars in 1947 and is hailed as one of the most visually stunning works of all time in 1947.
Is it Moira Shearer? So it's the Innocents. No, it's Deborah Carr. It's the Innocents.
Yeah, you got it.
Wait, what? Who directed the Innocents? I'm sorry.
Jack Clayton. What
did Jack Clayton do in 74?
He did Great Gatsby.
Oh, with Redford.
With Redford, yeah.
I don't think I knew that he directed that.
A movie that doesn't really exist. But
yeah. No, that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Innocents, yeah.
Just so you know, the miscellaneous hint was it had a semi-recent Criterion release. Which,
yes, it also had a semi-recent remake.
That's true. That
got an F cinema score and is not very good. But I saw because Mackenzie Davis is in it, and I bought stock in Mackenzie Davis 10 years ago, and I have to support her career because I have to.
Yeah,
I said she was going to be a big deal. All right, year and
next one.
Innocence, great movie.
It is a fantastic film.
It's incredible.
I love all the movies I picked here, pretty much.
Yeah.
So we got 87, and it's a monster movie.
87, a monster movie, but it's definitely not The Blob. Because you wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't.
And I'm going to need a director.
So the director of this film is widely known to explore gender and racial politics through genre cinema.
That could mean anything. That doesn't help. I mean, I'm sure that's going to help once I get.
It will when you realize. Yeah.
I mean, can I ask a follow-up question? Where is this in this director's career?
Early. I won't say what feature, but it's early.
No, that's fine. Monster movie 87. Gender politics and what?
Racial politics.
Gender and race. Man or woman?
Probably
a man.
Both.
two
Oh,
directors or transgender?
Oh, the director. I thought you meant
Yeah.
what
No.
gender did they explore?
No.
I can't. I don't want to say that.
Okay, you don't want
That's
to
too
say it.
much. That's too much.
Okay, actor, please. 87 monster movie.
87. Okay, so one of the supporting actors in this film was part of an ensemble that was released 1 year earlier in 86 and is also considered an iconic monster movie from the 80s.
I need a miscellaneous.
Okay. Okay, this might give it away.
No, please.
The tagline for this film is "Pray for Daylight."
Oh my God, it's Near Dark.
Yep.
I guess I wouldn't have thought of that as a monster movie. Of course, Bigelow. Of course. See, like I said, I said it earlier. That hint could mean anything, but it's going to come together.
I know.
Later.
You know how hard it was. I could not think about Bigelow.
No. These are good hints. It's good that I'm getting it later. I'm just like, no, that was good. Yeah, of course.
It is such a broad hint, but Bigelow is so hard to keep.
But it clicked. It clicked when you said "Pray for Daylight." I was like, oh my God, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Year. This is number 5.
This is 5.
Okay. Year and
so 2005, and it is a slasher.
Is it The Devil's Rejects?
No.
Is it Hellbound? Hellbent?
Nope. Hellbent? No.
Hellbent, the gay movie. That's not very good, unfortunately. 2005, and it is a slasher. A director, please.
So the director of this film.
And you like it?
I like it. Yes.
Yeah.
So the director went on to have a very illustrious career in action cinema, frequently collaborating with 2 really prominent action stars of our current age.
And actor, please.
So the lead of this film has worked with directors such as Ryan Coogler and Mark Waters.
Coogler and Waters.
It's a ridiculous.
Oh my God. The hit. 2 great American filmmakers. I am actually probably the biggest Mark Waters fan on the planet.
I love him. I had to. Yeah.
Okay. You said lead actor, and you're not being gender neutral there. It's a man.
The lead actor. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mark Waters and
Coogler. So thinking of men who are in both those movies, it's probably not Mikey Jordan.
No.
Creed 3 looks really good.
Absolutely.
Probably not Boseman. It's probably the dude from the Hobbit movies whose name I'm forgetting. He's got to be. Oh, it's not, because I saw your face.
I don't know who that is.
What's his face? Martin Freeman.
Oh, yeah.
He's in Black Panther.
Yeah.
Mark Waters movies. Let's see. Mean Girls doesn't have a notable man in it. House of Yes. Freddie Prinze Jr. is not in Black Panther as much as he should be. He's All That. No. Good movie. McConaughey's not. God. Oh, this is evil. Not Billy Bob Thornton.
Mm-hmm.
You're impressed that I can pull this much Mark Waters out of my ass, aren't you?
Yeah, no, and you're skipping a really key Mark Waters movie. I'll give you a hint. Yeah. I don't know for you, but it is for me.
Mean Girls, Ghost of Girlfriends Past, Vampire Academy. He's All That. The House of Yes. He didn't do Sahara, did he? That's another kind of hit. What's the miscellaneous?
Miscellaneous. This was produced by Bobby Z, Robert Zemeckis.
I have no idea. You
have no idea?
I have no idea.
That's House of Wax.
God! I love House of Wax. Wait, who's in House of Wax? Who's the guy?
Chad Michael Murray was in Freaky Friday with Mark Waters, directed by Mark Wahlberg.
Always forget that Mark Waters directed Freaky Friday.
It's easy to.
Wait, what else is what Ryan Coogler movie is Chad Michael Murray?
He's in Fruitvale Station.
He is? Oh my God, he's the cop who shoots him.
He's the cop who shoots
Oh my God, that was a really good hint that I just blanked on. And I should have gotten it because I adore House of Wax.
Me too. Me too. That I tried to think of a Paris Hilton hint, but it was just too. That was out of my element there.
I adore House of Wax.
It's the best.
Black Adam, not the worst movie ever made.
That was
Jomo Tourist can sleep pretty.
That was the other hint because he worked with Liam Neeson and The Rock. Yeah.
Dwayne,
okay, so the final
when you said that hint and you said 2 of today's best action stars, 100% not shitting you. I was like, okay, it's definitely Scott Adkins and Michael Jai White. All right.
I wish I could pull something like that.
No, that's fine. Number 6.
All right, so
year. I just want to do these in sequence.
So the final one's actually okay. That's the end of that part of the game. The bottom 5 is kind of like a speed round.
Okay, speed round.
So it's just taglines. If you get the tag, you might know these by heart. I wouldn't know all these by heart.
Yeah, no. Please, let's go. Let's give it a shot.
So the first tagline, just guess the movie.
Yeah.
He'll tear your soul apart.
That's Hellraiser.
Yeah. There's like a warm up.
Yeah.
Hellraiser. I forgot how much you fucking love Hellraiser. So
I'm such a big Hellraiser guy. Pinhead's like the only impression I can do well. Pinhead, and I am getting pretty good at doing a Hathaway from Black Hat impression. But that's for another time.
I'd love to see that too.
Yeah. All right. Next tagline.
The next one is, if this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight.
Ooh, I don't know what that is, but I like that.
That is Black Christmas, 1974.
The original?
Yep.
Here's a hot take for you. Every Black Christmas movie rules.
Sophia Takal's included.
Sophia Takal's is incredible. And
it is fantastic.
The one in 2006 from the Final Destination X-Files guy, whose name I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. No,
all three of them.
James Wong, yeah.
Yeah, James Wong. All 3 of those movies are very different, and I think that's why they're all very good.
What's your favorite of the 3? You'd say
probably the original.
Bob Clark's, yeah.
I'm so in the tank for Sophia Takal.
Oh, I love her. We're talking about.
I think that movie's incredible.
Yeah, it is great. It's very.
That's a really good tagline, though. I didn't know it.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot to do with Black Christmas, but I thought it was just a great.
No, it's
great tagline.
It's good.
Here's another great one. Humans are such easy prey. I can give you a decade if you want to.
Can you give me a decade? I know this one.
This is 80s.
Is this Predator?
Nope.
No, humans.
It's more.
It's the thing. It's
not. It's not.
It's not. What is it?
You're in the vein.
What is it?
From Beyond.
Yeah. Another great movie.
Another. Yeah. But you were on the right track.
How little I know taglines.
I know. I've realized that.
Yeah.
But,
no, that's fine. That's fine.
The last 2 should be easier though.
Yeah.
So 4 is, oh yes, there will be blood.
That is Saw 2.
Yes, it is.
And I know this because famously Paul Thomas Anderson likes Saw 2, and I don't know if anyone's ever asked him about that. There will be blood. It's right there.
I thought that was just a play on that movie. I didn't know PTA liked Saw 2.
Well, he has to if he's going to steal the title. Saw 2 came out before There Will Be Blood.
That's true.
There Will Be Blood is based on a novel called Oil.
It's just oil, exclamation point.
Yeah. I'm sorry. If like the big iconic line in a movie that came out while you're developing your movie is where you get your title from, you probably like Saw 2.
I'll follow that. That's incredible.
To my knowledge, no one's ever asked him about it. On a similar note, I'm pretty sure Todd Field likes Paul W.S. Anderson. Speaking of Andersons.
Where'd you get that intel?
Have you seen Tar?
Yeah, love Tar.
Think about the last shot of Tar. We're not going to spoil the incredible last shot of Tar. Think about it, put it together. I'll tell you off mic.
Yeah, let's. Yeah. That's hilarious though. Last one for the show. Yes. A nice place for summer vacation. A perfect place to die. So location hint there.
Is this one of the Last House on the Lefts? Is this the remake?
No.
The original is just keep repeating to yourself. It's only a movie. It's only a movie.
Yeah.
Is it April Fool's Day?
No.
What is it?
You don't want to keep guessing?
Decade.
You're on the right track there.
Decade.
80s.
80s. Nice place for summer vacation. A great place to die. Friday the 13th.
No, 2? In that vein though, you're on the right track.
I don't think I can get it.
Sleepaway Camp.
Oh God damn it!
You were so close.
A movie I have a lot of affection for.
Yeah,
difficult movie, of course.
Taglines are unfair. They really
taglines are unfair. I just don't think of taglines that often.
I don't either.
That's fun though. That's fun, and all those. Yeah, I should have gotten all of them.
Yeah,
except for maybe humans are such easy prey. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Not a good tagline for From Beyond.
I just think generally it's a solid one, but not for From Beyond.
It's a good tagline in general.
Yeah. It doesn't live up to the quality of that movie at all, but
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's it. Thank you so much for coming on and
Yeah.
talking all this bullshit with me.
No, this was really fun. Have you back anytime.
We went from Reichardt to French Extremity. Like I wouldn't have it any other way. And
good shit.